This is Papa Smurf. You're listening to Our Lifestyle, the podcast, with ODB and the mayor.
Yo, it's ODB, Our Lifestyle podcast, and we want to remind you that Bayou Showdown is going down later this year in Slidell, Louisiana at the Harbor Center. That's 100 Harbor Center Boulevard, again in Slidell, Louisiana. Bayou Showdown is November 20th and 21st. It's the weekend before Thanksgiving, so get on out and support the scene, including Custom Car Show Productions in conjunction with Mr. Sean Randall. Bayou Showdown, November 20th and 21st, Slidell, Louisiana. Check that hashtag, Bayou Showdown, or Facebook, Bayou Showdown, for more information. Yo, it's Our Lifestyle podcast, also known as OLP, episode 257, coming at you from the Custom Car Show Productions compound. And now we also have Mini Truck Showdown on board with OLP, so thanks so much to Custom Car Show Productions, which includes their 4 annual events. The next one is Bayou Showdown, but let's not forget that Mini Truck Showdown is going down, of course, next year in Las Vegas. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, and I would remind everyone, search Mini Truck Showdown on Instagram, and you'll see the dates are now June 3rd through the 5th. So big ups. So Mike, just wanted to kind of check in with you, man. Hopefully Dizzy didn't give you the dial-in information. Are you there?
Hey Jay, what's up? This is Ron. I'm back in Florida, man. How you doing?
Good. How you doing, man? Seriously, I wasn't expecting this, man. What's going down?
Not much. I just thought I would gallivant down to Slamfest, and so I thought I would bring your new pre-ordered Hammered Weekend Wear shirts and drop them off and save the shipping.
Dude, this is good service. Is this going to cost me more on the Hammered Weekend Wear t-shirt subscription?
Not for 21, but I'll get you in 22. Believe that.
Oh, man. I guess a price increase. Dude, Riggity Mike the Mayor last week, man, he barely was able to get past with the trivia. I might have to spring some trivia on you, man.
Yeah, I'll give it a shot. I can't promise I'll do any better than Mike, but
you got it. Well, check this out. We're gonna have Brian from Grinder TV. You know Brian from Grinder TV, right? Old school West Coast.
Oh yeah, he's a big West Coast guy until he moved a little further southeast from where he used to be.
AZ, right? He's on his way out here as well. And so what was pretty cool is we hinted last week, given, all respect to Ernie Macias, we had Brian on, and, we talked about he's going to be the guest for this week. So he's been on the list a while. I want to thank Graphics Mafia for the overview of this show. Remember, you can go to graphicsmafia.com. It's GRAPHIX Mafia.com. You can order stickers. You can hit them up on Facebook, Instagram. They're also on TikTok. Send them a message, let them know what you need. They'll get you taken care of. So, Ron, dude, last week, you've had kind of a real busy the last few months, right, with all of the stuff going on. Before we get into the recap of last week's episode, man, why don't you just give like an update on how things have been? Because I know on the tour, you got a little bit derailed, but the good thing is you can't stop, won't stop. You got back in the catbird seat, and you've been, just kind of back on the deal, back on the Oregon Trail, right?
Yeah, we're kind of back on the trail, but we're doing it backwards. We started off September 27th. We left Portland, Oregon, and made our way out to Missouri for the 16th annual Sparks in the Ozarks show. We did that, got in there probably Wednesday, and we ended up staying there, hanging out with everybody, partying until last Sunday, and then made our way down here.
Hells yeah, man. And why don't you give a huge shout out to, I know Izzy, they helped out big time over in Utah. There was kind of everyone told me not to bring it up. There was kind of a rumor about Hank wanted to, there's a P word out in like Utah, like I forget if it's like polygamous or whatever, but like Hank apparently has a lot of like women that that he's maybe married. And I know in some states, and it's a kind of a family episode, family podcast, but in some states that's kind of frowned upon. Like over in Utah, I know it's big. So supposedly he was over there with wrenches, kind of doing some stuff. But when you did have some challenges, all kidding aside, Izzy and Emily, right, and whoever else, man, why don't you just give a little update on how they hooked it up?
Yeah, actually, Izzy and Emily have a place there in Utah, and I was coming through, and I had to leave my truck there for a bit, and they were kind enough to put me up for about a week, and then I got back home and was able to end up flying back into Salt Lake to pick the truck up, and then back to Oregon to get the trailer, and then back on schedule with the tour. So yeah, big ups to Emily and Izzy. So really appreciate all their help.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And I didn't watch the show religiously. I know on HBO back in the day there was a show, I think it was called Big Love, and rest in peace Bill Paxton. He was on there, and in some of the circles I've been hearing, like Hank that's one of his nicknames with some of the ladies, like when he rolls in town, Big Love. And so I kind of was like trying to draw the connect the dots. And when I heard that you were coming to Utah, I was like, wait a minute, man. Like if you peel back the onion a little bit, it kind of started to make sense. So, but dude, I want to give a huge shout out, man. The big homie, Tony Biggity Boss Bolin just came through, and look what he's wearing, dude. He's got the band shirt on, man. Can you believe this? Dude, he's got the Star Wars. I don't know if we're allowed to say that.
I don't think you can say Star Wars.
He's got the hammered.
You can say S10, white S10 shirt.
White S10 shirt. Our brother and our Carl. No regrets, Carl. Rest in peace, Ernie. No regrets. But, Carl, dude, Biggity Boss, man, can you just give us hey, man, you've been hustling. You ready for the show this weekend?
Yeah, I'm ready for the show. I was invited over here, and I'm sitting on this couch. I don't know what kind of interview this is for over here. Is this casting couch back here, or what we got going on here, Ballard?
This is the green room, Tony. I mean, dude, you've seen the kind of the inner workings of the deal, like no, H word, but, you've kind of seen how stuff rolls around here, and, we got you to cut the promo the one time on the Lincoln Addict, and I keep trying to get you booked, but, dude, you got more shit going on than anybody I know, man.
I just want to know if I got the job.
Dude, well, here's the thing. Hank, there's two things. I know Hank is real hard to keep up with, but last time you guys were in the nightclub, man, you were running circles on Hank, and I've never seen Hank passed out before. He was the first guy out that night, and then you were, you basically did like a 48-hour binge.
Oh, yeah, easily. We turned it around. We were changing fuel pumps. We were doing all kinds of shit that night.
Is that what they call it, Tony?
Yep.
Changing fuel pumps. All right. Well, dude, I appreciate you coming through to hang out in the compound here. I can't wait till you get your new shop built, man. I'm gonna be over there. We're gonna have to get the big tables like the bikers got, and get the round table deals going, man. The gavel and all that stuff. Because Hank has already drew the line in the sand. I don't know if he told Ron this, but. He said that, anything that gets started over on the West Coast, he's the leader of it, dude. You know what I mean? He's kind of like the guy of that science, cult. He's running shit. I don't know where we're going with this.
Anyway, Slamfest will be good, though, this year, man. 30th anniversary.
Yeah, Tony's got more pre-registrations than anybody I know, dude. Last I heard, he said he's rounding them up. He's got like 5 coming in. Now, the rumor was, I saw Jonathan Hawkins had posted about the Slamfest website went down. I think when Tony...
They gave me a cap.
Dude, when he pre-registered, dude, it came toppling down, dude. I don't know how Tony does it, dude.
They said 12, that's your max. I said, damn.
Well, and you
said this ain't used cars out here.
Yeah, we've signed an NDA, but your good friend, Elvis, you became good friends with him, and he's a good dude. Obviously his van's going to be on the Relaxin' on the Ranch artwork. It is on there. Next March, we're going to be down there in South Florida, so we're going to talk more about that. But, dude, I know we're kind of under a non-disclosure agreement, but you might even be sponsoring part of Elvis's trip. I don't know, something about Vegas.
I sponsored his whole trip.
And we can't talk about the van, but it's...
Nope.
It's not a van.
It's
not
top
a truck.
secret, but it's unveiling there.
It's going to be unveiled, and it's longer than your average mini truck, too. So, the rumor is, we might have to wrestle Ron down to the ground and pull a gun on his head to say, hey, we need a shirt, but we'll have to see how it turns out first, We'll have to see, but I definitely appreciate you coming by. Now, Ron, I got to put you on the spot, dude. Ron, last week we talked about, Riggity Mike I cannot believe he figured out this whole, he's figuring out these 80 answers. And Shannon texted me and said that he's been on Amazon Prime a bunch and he's been watching all these 80 shows. I don't believe it one bit. But could you believe that Mike's actually, like, he got the A-Team ones? I mean, you grew up watching the A-Team.
Yeah, actually, I was listening to that episode, and I'm like, Mike started going off on something else, and I was like, it's the A-Team, say the A-Team,
dude,
damn it.
He did good. When he said MASH, dude, I was ready, dude.
Yeah, I was like, no.
I was like, dude, like, I was at, like, No Whammies. You remember that show, No Whammies?
Yeah.
But really what I thought was, when Hank was texting me this week, he was saying that he was Face Man from the A-Team. And I was like, I didn't know that. So, there was like, Nicole, Josh's wife, she kind of had figured out, I think, the whole, like, the Benjamin Button thing about Hank, how he ages backwards. That's how he was running with Hugh Hefner, when he started Playboy and stuff. So all that. But dude, I'm gonna throw you this question. And here's the thing. If you get it wrong, we've got the official ruling. Your tick marks can roll over to Riggity Mike, okay? But that also goes on the other side, too. So if you miss it, his binder gets deducted, his employee binder, right? So he's up to like 11 points. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask you this question, and I'm going to see if you can it's a two-part question, okay? So this 1985 movie, it's kind of like a drama movie, and my wife always made fun of me because it took me forever to watch this one, right? And there's like a teenager in it. I can't say the name. I think it takes place in, if I remember correctly, in Corpus Christi. There's all this stuff, right? But here's the cool thing. The name of the movie also ties into a famous song from the 80s, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the first part of it, and again, if you get this wrong, it's Mike's binder. So, I mean, I kind of want you to get it wrong, but, we'll see.
Can I guess right now then? I mean, if it doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, we got to keep the game show going. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But this one starts with The Legend of, and it was around 85, so we're talking mid-80s, and it's not to be confused with one of the biggest songs that was ever written or, produced. I think Quincy Jones was involved in that song. But this one is The Legend of, and those are the only two words I'm going to give you. Do you remember, go back in the memory banks, right? Maddie used to make fun of me because I didn't watch this movie for a long time. The Legend of this. And it was also a big song in the 80s.
Man.
I mean,
this is going to affect Mike, right?
Yeah, this is definitely going to impact Mike, who, by the way, we'll have to talk about later, I heard is not doing well in fantasy football.
Oh, yeah, we'll get into that.
So, I mean, we're talking, so I just had to look it up. We're talking box office wasn't huge. July 19th, 85, kind of give you a little bit of insight there. And here's the crazy thing. It's definitely, I'd say it's if Mike was here, he'd say it's a cult classic. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if that really gets you over the hump, Oh,
I gotcha. Well, I think the song that you're talking about that involved Quincy Jones might be by the late, great Michael Jackson. Am I right?
Ding, ding, ding. Yes, you're getting close, so I'm wondering if you got this.
And I do believe that Billie Jean is not my lover.
Yes!
So it should be The Legend of Billie Jean.
Yes, The Legend of Billie Jean. And here was the crazy thing. Growing up, I always thought the movie was connected to the song, but I don't think Billie Jean was Hank's lover, was it?
Not once. Nope.
All right, so dude, I mean, Airhead Nation, Ron comes in kind of in the home run, in the park home run, little fist bump there. I don't know how you got it, but definitely go check that movie out if you haven't. Directed by Matthew Robbins, and it was starring Helen Slater. So check it out, that famous artwork. I know Mike went and got that one, so dude, thankfully
I think I saved him. Yeah,
I think Hank, Mike, whoever, he owes you some money. So, all right. So last week, we talked with a couple of guys, Steve Wilk, including Brian Goude from Grinder TV, and of course Steve, with his famous shop that he's running there, and we paid homage to Ernie Macias. We also included audio from Ernie back on episode 21. We're so thankful that Ernie came on. And again, rest in peace to Ernie Macias. And, much love to his family.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed that episode. It was a re-listening to that episode with Ernie on. There was a couple things I didn't catch on the first one. So going back and watching or listening to it was a little tough. I was driving on my way out here when I listened to it, but yeah, a couple things about his cars going overseas and whatnot. I didn't know the extent of those.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing. As the podcast has grown, a lot of people have said, wow, have you ever had so-and-so on? Certainly we don't expect everyone to be able to go back and listen to them all, but, we did something similar with Sean Mahaney, rest in peace, and we were able to kind of reprise his audio. I think it was last year we did that. So, hopefully we don't have to do that anytime soon. But, at the end of the day, we all know life is short, so, do the best you can to stay healthy and do what you can do. Now, I want to give a huge shout out to All Time Low Magazine. We're talking about this kind of newer segment, typically with Miggity Mike, the mayor, but this time Ron came through, rather. And I would encourage everyone to go to atlmagazine.com. That's atlmagazine.com. You can order All Time Low Magazine. They have apparel, banners, stickers. But bottom line is the magazine, it's there. Individual issues are $20. They have banners. And the subscription, of course, a little bit higher than you might expect. However, great quality, homegrown, issue 28, still available with Sketchy's 3 vehicles from their their family tree, so to speak, on the new issue, Family Ties. So we're waiting for issue 29. My understanding is we're going to be getting that real soon. All right, so next we got the scene updates. So, man, it's pretty crazy, Ron. We didn't talk really about this lately, but I want to give much love over to Danny D. He passed away. He was another really iconic guy that was a painter in our mini truck scene. And I say mini trucks, I mean, he really, if you look at some of these photos from like new minis, it was reminiscent of, some of these guys that we've seen pass away. I think even Eric Coleman, rest in peace, from the Color Shop. His coffin was painted, it was decked with roses. And, Danny D was a really, really just a guy that transcended mini trucks, low riders, tilt beds, that whole culture, so to speak. And Ron, I don't know if you saw, but with new minis, they even had, I mean, dude, you're talking the coffin in the back of a mini truck, man. You talk about mini truck for life. Much love and respect to his family. And, man, it's just heartwarming to see, his friends and family step up and do that for him. I thought that was pretty cool, man.
Yeah, I haven't seen all the posts, but I caught some inner workings on my way down here while I was just flipping through Facebook. So yeah, thoughts and prayers with his whole family.
Yeah, and I think on Instagram he was Danny D. Jefe, Jefe, and it was Danny D. Galvez, I believe is how you say it. And then they've updated his bio with sadness in my heart. Danny D. passed away, born December 25th, 64. We said I do. August 25th of 2002, till death do us part. It did 8/25/21. There is a GoFundMe as well. He had about 43,000 followers, and if you think about the success of someone that was involved in our scene, I mean, 43,000 followers, huge cult following, amazing work. If I remember correctly, I had posted around the time of his passing, and I think the Lowrider magazine, back in the day, they did a Lowrider bicycle magazine, kind of a spinoff. And if I remember correctly, his paint was on the first cover of the bike magazine. So, again, he transcends different genres, mini trucks, and all that. So much love and respect to his family. Now, from a digital standpoint, we are excited as, again, we're waiting for the new All Time Low magazine, and we know Rich and Beth, they put in so much work. There's a lot of team members. I know Damian Davis does a lot, Michelle Boone, even Sherry from the West Coast. You met Sherry at Relaxin' in the Northwest, the Awakening, back in 2019. She was doing the coverage.
Yeah, she was there, and she came up to the Northwest Cruise of the Pines, so she's pretty frequently, she's up in the Northwest.
Gotcha, yeah, she's good people. Yeah, Biggity Boss Boland says he's out. He's going to the nightclub, and then he's going to go work on the cars all night. He's got like 10 registrations.
You going to the dog track?
Going to the dog track for sure.
Yeah, the dog track is calling his name.
Okay, give me a call. I'll go with you.
Yeah, exactly. Wait, hold on. I'm doing this by myself. Ron's leaving too. Where's Hank? Where's Hank? But no, I appreciate you coming by. And Tony's always looking out. He really helped me the other day. And big ups to the Biggity Boss Bowling in that mother effing house. It's not Dre Day. It's Boss Bowling Day.
Boss Bowling Day. Yep.
Yeah, he said see you guys this weekend. at the show
with all 15
he said,
of his cars.
Come up and talk to him. He'll let you borrow $2.
See ya.
So from a digital standpoint and print, again, we've been covering a lot of information the last couple weeks. Street Trucks, the new issue just came out. We're working on the December issue now. And, with All Time Low, both great magazines. So often, Ron, we hear, man, I remember I love Mini Truckin' Magazine and whatnot. But, keep me honest, Ron, right? Because I love to talk. Dude, when you look at Street Trucks, you look at your boy, our boy, right? Billy Bob. His truck was on the cover of Street Trucks. It was shot at Lone Star Throwdown this year. You look at All Time Low magazine. These magazines are putting out great quality. And here's what I tell people. Don't sleep on them, man, because you don't want to go a year or two down the road and these magazines are gone. Go out there and subscribe.
Yeah. Subscription is always the best way to go. And if you don't believe us, you can just go to atlmagazine.com and see all the issues, the back issues that are sold out. Those ones you would have at your house if you would have subscribed to those yearly.
No doubt. And remember the old Reading Rainbow, like the guy would always say, just don't take my word for it, go get them. And that's what, when someone told me that a long time ago about Penthouse, I realized, like, when they said, don't just take my word for it, like Angela White's on the cover, you kind of go, well, I got to kind of check it out, you know what I'm saying? But, buy them new, though, you know what I'm saying? Don't, no secondhand store type deals.
The Penthouse or
All Time Low.
Oh, yeah.
Street Trucks.
Well, both of them,
Oh, okay. Yeah. Buy them new. On the new
you don't want to buy a used Penthouse.
Right. Well, yeah, exactly, Especially if Hank's had it, you know what I'm saying? So, here's a few other things I've seen from an Instagram standpoint. I love Instagram. You can actually tap on that little bookmark in the lower right of the posts. You can even long press it and make a folder. Dude, check this out, bro. This made me smile. A big ups, dude.
It's out and about.
Did you see? Talk to us a little bit about Brad. Now, Brad also, he's coming off the top ropes in the fantasy football, right? He plays, I think, still. Mike always talks about it. But talk about your boy that was on a Hammered Weekend Wear shirt. Dude, when I saw that he's back in the catbird seat, Mr. UPS Brown Man, I was so stoked for AZ Draggers, dude. Brad is back, and he's in Big Brown, ain't he?
Yeah. Brad looks like he got Big Brown back together, and it was at the Auto Mixer out there last weekend. And, was featured on a Hammered Weekend Wear shirt, Big Brown, and it was titled I Get Around. For that tour that he took all the way across the country. He landed in Oregon. We got to chop it up with him for a bit out there for the weekend, and looks like I don't know, maybe he's getting ready to do another tour.
Yeah, dude, I love seeing the dude. He's about that life. Brian, I think, if I remember correctly, he did video on Grindr TV of Big Brown. Loved meeting him back at Relaxin' in the Northwest, The Awakening 2019. Just a good dude. Of course, that was, I think, at the very end of that trip. We've had him on a couple times. He had that hiccup going home. And then, he gave a lot of credit to the homies for helping him get, back home. And, but, I tell you, it kind of goes to show you that I remember seeing some of his posts. He goes, man, I don't know if I want to change the transmission and the excursion. What am I going to do? But you know what? We've all been kind of frustrated with the situation, whether you're working on something. Dude, I work on the house stuff. I get frustrated, dude. I got to just take a break. I got to take a breather, right? But that's what he kind of did. He goes, I got other stuff I can focus on right now, life, work, career, all that stuff. You reset the shot clock, you wait a little bit. Obviously, COVID came as well. But, dude, he's back out enjoying what he's doing. So, I love seeing it. I tell people all the time, man, it's okay to take a break.
Yeah, most definitely. And like you said, it's good to see him out there having fun again.
Yeah, no doubt. Now, Shane, I believe, I want to give a huge shout out. Anchors with an S, Anchors _ AWEIGH 1515. Dude, I love what this homie's doing. I see him all the time. He's got this really awesome Nissan pickup, and he's a hardcore dude, man. He really is, and he's redoing his truck. And his last post says, huge shout out to Classic Collision in South Dakota getting the bed ready. For Mickey Harris to do beautiful airbrush work on it. And, you start looking at, some of this airbrush stuff that he's doing. I love to get him on to talk about the truck. Just, again, a real hardcore dude. And I love seeing what he's doing. This is one that I'm super excited about. So big ups to the homie. Now, Ron, I know you don't get a lot of chance because you're on the road and stuff. Before I cover just a couple more things, I mean, anything else out there that you've been seeing lately popping up in your feed?
Actually, with me being on the road, I try to keep both of my eyes on the road since Hank's usually in the back sleeping, and I don't usually ever get a break. So no, I've basically just and actually when the whole internet crashed the other day, I didn't even know it because I was between A and B and wasn't on my phone a lot. So this past couple weeks, I am both eyes forward.
Hey, that's a good thing, and I would encourage everyone, don't text and drive, stay focused. I know that's like a basic thing, but just do what you can, stay focused. I mean, it's funny, like 10 years ago, if you'd see these videos of people driving, taking videos, and they're hanging out the window, you kind of go, man, these are lunatics, but the cameras have gotten so good, like, you'll just wake up and see a guy like, now it's one thing if you're driving and you're kind of just holding it like maybe at your chest level and you're going, hey, but then immediately they finish and they're posting it and I'm like, dude, just focus on the road, right? But check this out, David McGotti, good dude. He had posted on October 2nd, he said, with Sparks in the Ozarks this weekend, so you were just there, right? It being Breast Cancer Awareness Month, Sandy McGotti and I just finished listening to Ernie Macias' episode on Our Lifestyle Podcast with Jason, Mike, and Brian, and Steve Wilkes Works. I figured I would share a few things. The Nissan was originally supposed to be the blue Swiss cheese rendering. Ernie came to the house in Hemet and shot most of the images you see here in Primer and put it on that digital artifact. Then life changed. The Nissan then became a rolling awareness vehicle, and once again contacted Ernie to see if he would run my rendering in mini truck. And mind you, I wouldn't be a petitioner for NR for another 2 years in Tennessee. Having lived in SoCal my entire life, the truck went to Maine and made it to Vegas for SEMA 2010. Now we have started a new project with John Barefoot, Dragon for a Cure 2.0 H, using my bed, wheels, front sheet metal, so on and so forth. And it was a pretty cool tribute because he shows Mini Truck in July 2007. He shows By Ernie Macias. He shows Dragon for a Cure. Amazing hard body. Obviously, amazing colors. Love this thing with the blue paint with the pink. So it's awesome to see. I mean, David McGotti, arguably a guy that doesn't do it for the fame or fortune. He does it for the love of the scene. But it's pretty cool to see the nod there. And Ernie was always there to help out good people. But going back to Sparks in the Ozarks, talk to us a little bit about just the shenanigans. You must have had a good time.
Oh, yeah. It was a blast. Sparks in the Ozarks, always a great time. I basically got set up there on Thursday, getting ready to rock the booth. We had the booth set up to where we had all the Hammered Weekend Wear designs on hand. We had all the Shift Gear Co. clothing company on the trailer, and this show we also were vending the show shirts. So to say that it was going to be busy is an understatement. One of my friends locally down there, Tara, had helped out in the booth and kept the party rolling the whole weekend. Some good friends, Shannon and Megan Caudell, came down. They haven't been down in a while. They came over from Springfield. So yeah, we slang shirts, we slang shots, we had good time. There's rumor that we sang karaoke on Saturday night, maybe. And then if you've seen my post today on Wednesday, our whole system went down because we were rocking so hard we smoked some of the wiring. So we got all that fixed in the trailer, and we're ready to rock for the next one.
Love hearing it. I know that you guys had a good time, so big ups to Sparks in the Ozarks. I can imagine that the show will go on next year. Look up Facebook, Instagram, Sparks in the Ozarks. Good people. I'd like to just reinforce the scene updates brought to you by Garage Gear Clothing. Get ready for the holidays, garagegearclothing.com. And Ron, how much is the shipping on that website? I know they're competitors, and you guys will usually go kind of toe-to-toe, crip walking, blood walking, throwing gang signs and stuff. I know Lonnie and Radar, they're true enemies of Hammered. I heard. But they do let you come the Lone Star Throwdown. But you have seen, like, you've scoped out their website, and their shipping is, I think it's like, how much is it again?
Yeah, I don't know. I put one of their T-shirts in my cart the other day, and the shipping came to $0. And then I added 26 more, and it was still 0.
Dude, I don't know how they do it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I think, just be careful because they're trafficking stickers, I think, across state lines. And if you mention OLP in the notes, you just never know. They could throw in a sticker. But, I mean, last I heard, Crystal, she's real tight with inventory, so I don't know. That could, but you just got to try it. If you get a sticker, tag us, and we'll let you know if it's going to work. But you just got to tag us, you know what I mean? But GarageGearClothing.com, check them out. All right, the key show updates, right? So as we get nearing the end of the year, it gets a little easier, so to speak. But I do want to stop for a moment and thank Bayou Showdown. Bayou Showdown, again, we talked about earlier, they're not on Instagram anymore, but if you go on Facebook, you're going to see they are the weekend before Thanksgiving. So Biggity Bayou Showdown, it's in Slidell, Louisiana, and you can go on Facebook and click Going. November 20th through the 21st, Bayou Showdown presented by Sparkles Detail and Destination Auto. Now, in addition to that, just kind of looking at the schedule here, you basically have SEMA for the first week in November. You have Laying at the Lake as well, the 12th through the 14th of November. They just finished their pre-registration. And then I do want to talk a little bit about next year. So basically, you're going to have Mike's show, which I don't want to steal his thunder. He's gallivanting this week. You're going to have Mike's show in the month of January. Okay, a lot of you have pre-registered for Mike's show. I don't even know if I should be talking about Mike's show. He doesn't even have us on the flyer, dude. So And what I heard is it's not even Mike's show. Apparently, he has been cut out. I think Big John Lopez is now running the show. Isn't that what you're hearing even from the West Coast?
Yeah. That's what I heard is that John said he had two options. He said you can get in the trunk and we'll go for a drive, or you're just out of the show altogether.
Yeah, and he kind of did, rest in peace to the real Debo, but he kind of did a Debo and said, dude, that's my show. You know what I mean? And when I was there at Orange Beach Invasion when he picked Mike up by the neck, it kind of was like almost like a Terminator 2, Predator, Commando. Dude, I was like, dude, I don't know what John was on. I mean, I know he doesn't do any drugs.
Heavy drugs.
But I mean, dude, he had Mike picked up by the throat and he goes, that's my show. And I go, dude, I'm out. So I don't want to piss off John. I just want Mike to know, if he still has a good word in, get our logo on there. You know what I'm saying? Or I can't talk about it,
You might have to talk to John about it.
Right. Eastbound Get Down. So that's all I'm going to say about that one. But here's where we're kind of at as we get sideways into the new year. You got Lone Star Throwdown, the 11th annual. It's the 25th through the 27th. Now, I've heard from a lot of good people. They're flying in. They're driving in. They're coming in from other countries, man. Dude, we got a caravan coming across the Pacific Ocean, dude. Maybe from HAWAII. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Diddy and them. But Lone Star Throwdown, February 25th through the 27th. Go to LoneStarThrowdown.com. Unfortunately, I can't tell you how many pre-registrations are left, but I can tell you every year around Thanksgiving is when they officially sell out. LoneStarThrowdown.com, you can still pre-register 141 days from the date that we're recording. Now, from there, it gets a little bit confusing for me in my mind, but I can tell you our good family at Relaxin' on the Ranch is going down March 5th, right? So I hope that I'm not forgetting any shows. But March 5th at Westgate Ranch. This is a cool show. It's a camping deal. You can bring a tent like the DeCorvers do. They sleep in the bed of their truck on an air mattress, dude. And David says if this dualies comes a rockin', don't come a knocking, dude. This thing's all over the road, dude. I mean, I saw it last year. I thought it was fixed with hydraulics. and I thought someone had a remote hydraulic thing. And they said, no, David's sleeping. And I go, I don't know about that. But you basically have Relaxin' on the Ranch 2022. This is going to be a great show. I passed it going down to the cheeseburger deal. And I almost thought to myself, I should have just stopped there and hung out and took some photos. But we'll be back down there this coming March. Of course, we'll have Orange Beach Invasion mid-March, which we're super stoked about. And then from there, I know the DeCorvers are going to have their show. It's Sparks in the Park, 850 on Instagram, the hottest show on the Emerald Coast. That's April 2nd through the 4th at the... What was the festival grounds again? It was something with a haircut.
The Mullet Festival. Fairgrounds.
Yeah, and Hank almost got the mullet award, but his wig fell off, and he didn't want me to mention that. But the Mullet Festival grounds, and seriously, I would tell you guys, this is a fun show. The artwork is out. They have went to the dark side. They jumped on with Graphic Disorder for their artwork, for the majority of it, right? They've done some other things. Bada Bing is making an appearance on one of the shirts. I don't know how. Hank might do a face tattoo, but my boy, he even has the motorcycle on there. And that's Fool's Gold Custom. He's on the artwork. So, a little bit of nod to Michelle Boone. And then the full size is on the rise, of course. So it came out good. We're going to talk a lot more about the shows. Again, if Mike can't arrange all of the, the requirements I've got, I may not even make it over to. He keeps calling it Daytona. And last time he told me it wasn't even Daytona. It was like Orange or Ormond Orange or something. I'm like, come on, man. Get your shit together, guys. But seriously, the key show updates brought to you by the West Coast Influence. If you didn't know, now you know. Go to minitruckfilm.com. Yes, you heard that right, minitruckfilm.com. Order the Blu-ray or DVD. It's the only documentary-style film based upon the mini truck scene. Learn about how our scene grew so much through the West Coast. Throw it up for the dubs. All right, man, the podcast updates. Dude, here's the big thing. We've got the pre-sale has ended, of course, for the Mini Truckin' DNA shirts. We were given, about a 3-week lead time. We're right about there, so we're excited. The banners arrive this week, so Mike will ship those out. In addition to that, the new shirts should be shipping to us anytime. I posted an update earlier today. As soon as they ship to us, we'll let everyone know. A couple days go by, they'll arrive. Miggity Mike and Mrs. Mayer, they will get them bagged and tagged, and they will get them shipped out with all of the stickers. So just know when the banners arrive, it's starting to get to the real deal. And thanks so much to Graphic Disorder. If your company is lacking in the merch inventory, hit up Graphic Disorder. And not just in inventory, in the artwork. All of these shows are jumping on board. And it's no wonder why they are best in the business, best customer service, easy to deal with, all via email. Graphic Disorder. You deal with Graphic Disorder pretty often, right? Other than like Eric and team getting a little wild, like on the boat, I've been seeing some posts. They're pretty easy to work with.
Yeah, all those guys are great to work with. We were just up there 4 days ago, I think. We picked up some shirts, dropped off some presents for them, and then we got back on the road. So it was great hanging out with those Graphic Disorder guys, and we had basically just a short half day up there and then them back, and so I could make it down here in time. But yeah, good people, great artists. We talked about a couple new things that are going to be coming out, so should be pretty awesome into the year.
I love hearing it, dude. They're good people, man. And they're just easy to do business with. Now, the other update is, I didn't read this one yet. SUPER Super Tray 6 Tray. Super Tray 6 Tray. I would like to thank Chuck Dog for that ATM money and Jalopy Joe for being my chauffeur to the Lowrider Show. Smutfest 2022. Hashtag do it for the smut. Dude, I have one idea who that could be. Johnny 255 was the title of that one. And we thank you guys so much. Even if they're funny comments like that, leave 5 stars, okay? That's what's key. We've dropped in the ranking in the U.S., okay? We know you guys are like jumping like fish off the OLP train. But seriously, stay with us. We've got a lot more awesome shows packed this year, and then we're going to get crazy into 2022. But go out, if you're on an iPhone, go to the pre-installed podcast app, click on the purple icon, tap on library, click OLP, scroll down, and then boom, 5 stars hopefully. And then you can even go a step further and write a review. You can even put something funny in there. Bottom line is, do it for the Smutfest 22. Man, if this keeps building, dude, you might be flying in and being the judge for Smutfest.
Oh, man.
And we're not talking vehicles, dude.
Right?
I hope not.
No, I can judge them.
You guys did make me an honorary judge at Relaxing in the Northwest, The Awakening, and I'm still thankful for that, dude. I've never seen such, a good time.
I've never seen so many 10s from one judge.
Dude, I kind of felt like it was like Dominique Wilkins and Jordan at the dunk contest, when they're like, okay, well, everything can't be a 10.
Right.
Because you're like, well, if that was a 10, did they really go above and beyond? But like, dude, I was like, 10,
Blown away again.
dude. I don't know, man. I mean, something was talking to me,
Right.
So, check us out if you can on any podcast app and leave a review. Podcast updates brought to you by Joey at Get Decked. And Ron, don't just take my word for it. Joey at Get Decked, he's taking care of you as well, right?
Yeah. Joey at Get Decked. We hooked up with him at the beginning of the year, thanks to OLP giving us a recommendation. He is doing all the 2021 U.S. Tour Stop Hammered Weekend Wear picks, which last weekend at Sparks in the Ozarks, we gave out to the Red Devil Colorado, Crew Cab Colorado on bill. It's pretty sweet truck. I wasn't able to hang around long enough till after awards to get pictures of it, but if you've seen the Red Colorado from the coverage, you know which one it was.
Yeah, kick ass. And with the holidays coming, we talk about it a lot with Hammered Weekend Wear, with Garage Gear Clothing, but seriously, we get a lot of questions all the time on, hey, can you put my truck on a shirt? My old lady, she wants my truck on a shirt, Well, here's what you can do. You can hook up your significant other. You can search on Facebook, Get Decked. Also on Instagram, Get Decked. You're going to see Joey Dilworth. Send him a DM. It goes down in the what, Ron?
Goes down in the DM.
It goes down in the DM. DM him, and even if you have a photo or you have some old artwork or you have something, I mean, dude, even if you stole something off Google Images and you say, that's my shit, dog, even if it's not your shit, dog, he can still put it on a skate deck, pretend it's your shit, dog, hook it up, message Joey at Get Decked, and he will get you square. Dude, we're going to get sideways into 2022, and we're getting ready to do a huge re-up, and word on the street, like Mike said recently, we're going to be shipping the skate deck. So we still owe one to our homie in the Pacific Northwest. Dude, that lifted Toyota, dude. Such a good guy, man. And thank you for when you took that metal sign up to the big homie.
Yeah.
Okay. You trafficked, dope artwork across state lines like you always do with yours.
All right.
So thank you so much, bro.
Yeah, you bet.
And remember what I said, if you do get pulled over, say you had no idea that that we gave you that metal sign.
Yeah, I don't know what was under the seat.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a metal sign. So, definitely appreciate the big homie for always supporting us, man. All right, so the Airhead Nation updates, man. Listen, dude, this one's tough. I lost my pops 4 years ago. I talk about it all the time. You guys show a lot of love whenever I post, and I appreciate all the comments. My dad meant the world to me, and I know many of you have lost family members these past year and a half, 2 years. But one of our good buddies, man, our family, down for Dennis, Daryl Poe, man. He lost his mom. I just saw it today. Facebook, we had that hiccup the other day where we couldn't really get on, so I wasn't on much. But I saw Daryl lost his mom, and I know it's not easy. Again, many of you are losing family members, so I would just say keep your faith, stay positive, and spend that time, like we always say, with your loved ones, because you just never know, right, Ron?
Yeah, exactly.
Now, on a positive note, it's hard to transition from that topic. I do want to thank, again, Eddie Gordy, great dude, great supporter. This guy has been on a true, a little like a rampage this year. I cannot believe like the energy that he's got. I mean, it'd probably be between Boss Bolin and Eddie Gordy on how much they're like, they're ripping transmissions out, doing this, redoing that, building new vehicles, all this stuff. But Eddie Gordy says, happy 12th B-Day to my beautiful Gracie May. Not a day goes by that you don't amaze me and make me think how I ever lived my life before you were born. So, dude, Gracie May that's the true road dog, right? She's down. She goes with her pops all the time. They're pulling in awards, but at the end of the day, it's that father-daughter relationship. She's repping RA. She might be the youngest RA member. You know what I mean? She's patched in. I know she is. And I just want to say big ups to both of them. They're great people. They keep the pedal stomped, and we appreciate them. Big ups to the EG, right?
Yeah, happy birthday.
EG, but GM, she's holding it down. She's the GM of their little operation.
Their establishment, the whole damn yay.
Yep, yay. Big ups, girl. And dude, the Airhead Nation updates is brought to you by this brand, my buddy. Dude, you got to check it out sometime, man. Hammered.
What is it? What is it?
Hammered something.
Never heard of it,
dude. Hammered Weekend Wear. It's HAMMERD. Weekendwear.com. Dude, I know there's a lot of hate out there for the electric vehicles, and I ask the same people that hate the electric vehicles, I always go, yeah, man, back in my day, dude, the fuel injection was coming in. I was like, dude, that's garbage, man. We're keeping, fuel inject. No, we're keeping carb for life, dude. And then before that, like, I was telling people, like, you should keep coal vehicles. You know what I mean? And, like, the Jay Leno deal, like, before that, I was like, nah, dude, steam is the future, bro. So now all the hate that we get about the electric vehicles, I love that you stuck your head out and you rocked down to Electric Avenue. That was a recent drop.
Yeah, that one was a project that Brett had built, and I told him, I was like, hurry up and finish that car because I want to put it on a shirt. And luckily he did finish it because I talked to a lot of people. But yeah, that was one of the more popular shirts from this past weekend that sold out of the Hammer trailer.
Real Deal Holyfield. And Ron, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, he kind of was hinting that if you do an order this next week or two and you put like Smutfest into the notes, like you could just get, a free sticker or something. It had to be like a basic one, but I mean, you just never know.
A Smutfest sticker.
Right. I mean, I heard
a free ticket in.
Right, a free ticket. Like just put on the back like free ticket, like with a marker. I mean, keep that. That's like on Dumb and Dumber when they had the IOUs, and it was like a $200,000 Ferrari. He's like, yeah, keep that one.
Yeah. Don't want to hold on to this one.
Don't lose that one. But seriously, HAMMERD, weekendwear.com. Dude, listen, catch me if you can. Real cool nod. I love the Spielberg movie. Was it Spielberg? He was involved in that one. DreamWorks, I think it was. Catch Me If You Can, right? With DiCaprio. Love that movie, man. The cat and mouse game. But you did it with a shirt with Catch Me If You Can, Catch 22. Little nod to Schulman, dude. That's a fire one, bro. Straight fire.
Yeah, and actually, I'm really excited to get those ones shipped out. Those ones printed. I have them. I will be home in a week, so you guys should be getting those tracking numbers next week here.
Don't worry, I've already got mine. When he brought it to me a little bit ago, I've cut it up and I made it a headband. We're doing like a Rambo deal this weekend at the show. We're coming off the top ropes, bro. People are like, man, how can you cut up a brand new shirt? You just go, dude, you do it for the scene, bro. You get your Rambo knife out. Now, I also got to give a nod, more than you can afford, pal. Dude, this is the cool thing. TD, Tim Davis, the man, the myth, the big homie, okay? Dude, this is a trifecta for him. I don't know if you've been scoring at home. This is his third shirt. And here's the cool thing. I know it's not often that you will put a truck on a shirt if it's already been out there. It's kind of like a magazine. They don't often already feature stuff. But this truck is so awesome, but you also did your own spin. And as much as I love, Rest in Peace Greg and Orange Beach Invasion, that was a cool one. They had their spin. This, to me, is my favorite one, man.
Yeah, this one we went back and forth a little while with Tim Davis and had more tweaks than the average shirt does. But, yeah, we wanted to give it that little Fast and Furious throwback, with Tim's Ferrari hard body. And then, of course, you can see little Tim Davis in there with the Detroit hat on. So we wanted to make sure everything was just on point before we released this artwork. So it took a couple go-arounds, but really super pumped about how it turned out.
Well, there's a rumor that he had a lot of requirements, like the engine's all done, and it's all like billet, and it's like a billet engine. You can't see it, but like those were some of the requirements that TD was saying. Like he was going, hey, it needs to be a Ferrari engine, all this. And you're like, well, Tim, you're not going to see that on the artwork. And he goes, no, like I know you can't see it, but like you got to have it done. So like I don't know how all those conversations went, but I can't wait. I mean, maybe down the road we'll see a remix one where we actually see like the body off the truck, We'll have to just see.
Yeah, you never know.
Just check out HAMMERD weekendwear.com. Definitely check it out. And here's the other thing. I just got to give a huge shout out to you, man. I didn't get a chance to talk a lot about I'm growing up on mini trucking, but I love this shirt. It's a great nod to Too Low Joe. Great dude. He's back in the catbird seat with the mini truck. Reppin' RA, part of your family. Very cool that Joe Millionaire got on a shirt as well with this one. Was this? I'm trying to think. This was his second time, right?
Yeah, the original one is probably on the next page. So we had featured Joe's truck originally. I think this was our third or fourth shirt that we ever did. And so what we did is we had Graphic Disorder remix it. So the original shirt says I grew up on mini trucking. We wanted to do a youth shirt that kids and parents could have a matching style shirt. So, of course, with the youth growing up on mini trucking, we wanted to change that. So we cartooned the truck a little bit, and we have those in the trailer. They're on the website as well, so you can get those in youth, small, medium, large, extra large youth shirts, and then you can get the matching one for the parents, whether they want a small to 5X. Just something cool that you can wear together while you're out at a show anywhere.
Real Deal Holyfield, HAMMERD, weekendwear.com. Now, I grew up, you're in Lutz right now. I grew up in the next city over, Land O'Lakes. I don't know if you're taking special requests, but could I get one that says I growed up mini trucking? You know what I'm saying?
I grewed up?
Lando is also in Pasco County, so
I know the LOL posse over there.
Yeah, you've been hanging out in the corner, I heard, over there, dude.
Yeah.
Slanging shirts or something.
Slanging something.
So again, thank you, Airhead Nation. Updates, HAMMERD, weekendwear.com. Order today. And you may get a home delivery. It just all depends, right? There's different packages.
It just depends where I'm at. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Okay, before I check and see if there's anything else you want to, just hit on, ODB updates brought to you by Colorado Custom Wheels, my favorite wheels in the scene, best in the business. Dude, so a couple quick things. We haven't been to the movies a lot lately just because I can't stay still long enough to really sit down in a movie. Preston always makes fun of me. I normally will fall asleep in a movie, right? Because I'm kind of like, wow, it's dark, it's cool, it's a break. I'm like, okay, maybe this was a break. But Preston last week goes, yo, Dad, can we please go see the new Venom movie? And you guys are going to make fun of me, man. I know some of you guys have already done this, okay? I love movies, but I love movies from, my era, I guess. The first Jurassic Park. I can watch that a lot. I can watch, Rad. I'm going to see Rad in the movies. I haven't even talked about that. They're re-releasing it.
It's on the 14th.
The 14th,
I'm going to watch it at my house.
Yes.
It's playing at the Cinema 16 in Portland, Oregon. If anybody wants to join me, it's the 14th at 7 p.m.
Dude, I'm so stoked. Now, here's the funny thing. I bought a ticket the other day, and the website, I think, crashed. And I know I bought a ticket, and it's not popping up in my Fandango.
Oh, that's because Boss Bowen was on there.
Yeah, dude, Boss Bowen was pre-registering. But Preston goes, hey, Dad, can we go see the new Venom movie? And I thought to myself, well, okay, make fun of me now. I hadn't seen the first one. I love the Eminem song. It was on the Eminem. And, I haven't seen a lot of Marvel movies. Have you ever heard of that one? The guy, he's like a spider guy. He shoots something. What's that called?
Is this going against Mike's binder?
Yes. No. Yeah.
Spider-Man?
Spider-Man. Yeah, there you go.
Man, Mike's stacking them up today.
I've seen that, and I know Stan Lee, rest in peace, he has the cameos in the movies. I know he was tied in, I think, on Mallrats. He made a cameo. He kind of was friends with Kevin Smith. I know a little bit about the whole Marvel universe. I've seen, a movie, the guy with the cape. My buddy Noldy's a big Superman fan. Superman. Okay, I've seen a couple of those movies, okay? But, when you start going, have you seen, there's a lot of them I haven't seen, dude. I haven't, dude, there's, Ant-Man, Wasp-Man, a lot of, some of them, I'm a little, I'm man, dude, do we all go see these movies? But I think it's cool, right? But, so when Preston goes, hey, let's go see this, I was like, well, shit, I was texting Ben Smith, big ups to the homie, and he goes, man, you haven't seen, because you heard me talking about it last week, he goes, man, you haven't seen Venom? So I thought to myself, I'll go, but should I watch the first one? So I said, fuck it. I don't need to watch the first one. So I went and watched the second one, raw, I guess you'd call it. I hadn't seen the first one. And I loved the movie, dude. Okay, it wasn't too long. It was about an hour and a half. I think we went at 1. It started at 6:40. Let's call it 7 o'clock by the time the credits roll, right? Or the previews. So about 8:30, the movie's done. And I'm like, dude, it's a good number. Woody Harrelson did an amazing job in the movie. I don't know what it is. I love the movie. And, dude, I would encourage anyone, if you just want a good, I didn't think too much into it. Now, I did get a little bit annoyed because he's got this guy that comes out of his back or something. That's the whole Venom thing. And again, I haven't seen the first one, so I don't know it all. But, the thing keeps interrupting him. And I kind of feel like I'm talking to Mike because, he's always interrupting me and all that stuff. So that was kind of a weird dynamic. But I got over that, and it was fun. So I would tell people to check it out, man.
Yeah, I've personally never seen the first one myself either, so.
And then I did watch over the weekend Many Saints of New York. Now, I know it got horrible reviews. A big Sopranos fan, obviously Bada being named after the gentleman's establishment on The Sopranos. Of course, like Tony once said, never disrespect the Bing. But Many Saints of New York, I mean, I knew it was coming out a long time. I think there was a little bit of a delay because of the COVID stuff. As much as maybe it didn't do enough for people, I still appreciate the whole kind of Soprano fandom. Like, there's all the backstories, how did Tony become... here's the thing. I got HBO Max right now. It didn't cost me a dime, I guess, when you really think about it, because, I mean, I still was going to have HBO Max. So I'm not one of those fans that's like, oh, man, it's like the end of my life. Like, when that Indiana Jones movie came out, I mean, people were just like, man, this movie sucked. I just looked at it and I was like, dude, I don't think that much into it. Did I like the Indiana Jones movie? Yeah. Do I hope the new one's good? I do. But with this one, I watched it for what it was. I'm probably going to go back and rewatch it to try to understand some of the dynamics of some of the things and the characters. A little bit hard to follow. But if you're a Sopranos fan, I think you'll appreciate watching it. But most of us are kind of just like, the show was so good. It's like, how is the movie so bad? I don't know. That's just the dynamic. I know Mike's not going to watch it. So, but I mean, please, if you do go see Rad, I mean, I don't know, you could just be, pretending with me. But if you do see Rad, like, maybe we'll get your take on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, was the ass sliding scene really, like, was Lori Loughlin really into that? You know what I mean? It was cold water, supposedly, when she hit. I mean, Bill Allen has said, like, it was freezing cold water. And I think they only went down the slide once, not to give it away. They ass slid once, but they had two angles of it. So I always kind of thought it looked like it was one, and it was. And they just used the different angles so to make it look like they did it twice. I think. They're going from memory.
Well, I will be back home on the 11th, and the movie release is on the 14th at 7 o'clock. So I will actually see it before you will.
Damn, dude, that's messed up. It really is. I mean, I'm going to have to dig into my Crew Jones here.
I don't know if it's the same way in Florida, but in Oregon, they only have it at one theater.
Yeah, I think so. Well, there's like one around here, I mean, I hate to say it, you might be the only person in there.
Okay.
Is Jizef going from Mini Garage?
Actually, I think Jizef had commented on it and said that he wanted to go. No, we're going to see Too Short the next day.
Oh, that's right. Okay, damn.
Yeah,
Oaktown?
I'm
Biatch.
busy.
What's his favorite word? Biatch, right?
Biatch.
So,
10 platinum albums.
Dude, remember when he was saying, this is my last album?
This is my last album.
Like, man, he's retiring, dude. Man, I love seeing the story about him on Netflix, the Hip Hop Evolution. They talked about the different, with Two Live Crew in South Florida, and then you got Oaktown. But, man, Too Short is well-respected, and, man, he's like, I love he has that song, 19,999. I'm on you, Wilt. Because I mean, he probably is on Wilt Chamberlain. I mean, that's one record that Hank might not ever break. And we're not talking about the 100-point game.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we're talking tens of thousands of, situations. So.
Yeah, no, he got in some situations last time I'd seen him in Portland.
Yep. What's really cool that I love about, we got to talk about the NFL before we finish here, right? The fantasy. What I do love about the NFL for Monday Night Football, when they play in those certain cities, they were in there was a game recently, and they played, so I was tweeting out from our Lifestyle podcast, and they were playing the instrumentals from, like, different songs from that city. So it was like E40, it was like Too Short, it was Bay Area stuff. So I thought that was pretty cool how they tie that stuff in. And hip-hop, the cool thing about it, I don't talk about it enough, but it really has transcended. I don't think I covered this, but I guess I will now. Ron, you may have seen it. The NFL announced about a week or two ago that Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Mary J. Blige, and Kendrick Lamar are going to headline the Pepsi halftime show. And I'm super stoked, man. Coming up from the 90s. I mean, dude, we're getting ready to celebrate next year in December, the 30th anniversary of The Chronic. But you think about how far they've come from NWA and then the Cloth. Now, granted, Mary J. Blige, she had her own lane. Dre's produced a couple really good tracks for her over the years. But who would have ever thunk it back in the day, the Run DMC days and stuff, that you'd have hip-hop acts that are headlining the damn freaking halftime show?
Yeah. This year is going to be an all-around good Super Bowl experience.
And I've always seen this, no matter who headlines the halftime show, it always seems to kind of seem like, you get on social media and they're like, oh, I hated it. Like, it's like 50-50. Like, even Tom Petty. I'm a huge Tom Petty fan. I love Tom Petty. He had an amazing catalog. Rest in peace. 4 years ago, he passed away. But, half the people were like, oh, who's Tom Petty? Whatever. So I really hope that the resounding effect from this one is like, okay, K-Dot, Kendrick Lamar, he's the young up-and-comer. I really do hope that when it's over, people are just like, damn. Like, maybe they'll throw in a little bit of G thing. Like, I mean, I don't know where they're going to go with it. Maybe there's got to be some other people that'll come out. Dre did the Backstreet song, Diggity. I mean, there's so many hits that can have people rocking, but Dre said in some of the promo videos, they only have like 11, 13 minutes or whatever, So, you'd imagine, okay, put together this amazing show, but how do you do it in that short amount of time, I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I'd like to see the Snoop and Tupac do their thing again.
Yeah, well, I already saw people comment it, do not do the Tupac hologram. I mean, there's still people that hate on that, and wow. Dre was involved with, I think even Shakur's mom was involved, and they paid, they back then it was like 10 or 20 million they had to pay to like make this like hologram work. I thought it was a cool thing.
Yeah, it was a great idea.
I mean, there were people hating on that. I'm like, damn. I mean, they were hating on it like a new Hamburg shirt, Tom.
Oh, man.
They're like, where's my shirt at? Guys are like, man, I'm on the list. And you're like, dude, you're on the list. But, it's kind of like OLP, man.
Right. Here's a funny, quick story. I stopped on the way out here, and I was in a little town called Mountain Home, Idaho, and my Idaho friends will know exactly where it's at. And I was getting gas, and it was $4.15 a gallon for diesel. Whoa. And the guy that was working at the shop, he comes outside, and he goes, hey, what's this hammer we can wear? And I go, oh, they're like T-shirts with trucks and stuff on them. We do hats and banners and all kinds of cool stuff. And he goes, oh, you got a freebie shirt that I can have? And I looked up at the gas sign, and I'm like, not $4.15 a gallon.
What'd he say?
He just looked at me blank faced, and then he went back inside.
Yeah, you're like, no freebies here, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that was like $130 fill-up.
Real deal. Now, again, Colorado Custom Wheels, visit coloradocustom.com. And again, I have to thank Corey and team, Mini Truck Showdown. Please, 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 if you can come out to this show next year on Instagram, it's Mini Truck Showdown. They're also on Facebook. But here's the thing. The show dates were going to be in May. Due to feedback, they pushed it to June. It's June 3rd through the 5th in Las Vegas. It's kind of going to be like a pre-SEMA event. Fly out there. I am going. I've already requested the time off. What I think is going to be cool about it is it's going to go into the night. So many of you are thinking, dude, June, Vegas, hot. Corey was on recently, and he talked about it. We'll be talking much, much more. So thank you so much to Corey and team for believing in OLP. We're going to be out there. Hopefully Street Trucks will cover it. It's just going to be a damn good time. Now, Ron, before we jump into the audio with Brian from Grinder TV, dude, give us a quick update on this damn, what's it called, like football, like where you guys do like it's something like you guys go on a website and you pick like names, and I don't know, do you make up the names or something, and then somehow there's points that are all like added up, and something, I know, I can see it on your face, something's going on where Mike, Mr. Shit Talker, he's getting stomped in the ground. And from what I've heard is, I mean, Mike's not doing too well this year.
No, Mr. Mayer's usually in the top end. I don't have a lot of room to talk because right now in this fantasy football league, I am currently at number 5. But last week I put a whooping on the good guys over at the Custom Scene podcast. Put a whooping on them, so that moved me up from like 7 to 5. But your boy Miggity Mike the Mayor is currently sitting at 0-4, and I don't want you. 0-4. 0-4. I don't want you to get that confused with the Arizona Cardinals. They're actually 4-0.
Oh, right.
Mike is the opposite. He's 0-4, which means 0 wins and 4 losses.
Well, thanks to the Custom Scene podcast. I mean, dude, not only do they support OLP, more importantly, they support Smutfest 2022, and we've got to kind of work out some things and hopefully make that happen. But to keep it on track here, what's it called? Football. It's like a Final Fantasy, like the video game or something. What's it called? Fantasy something?
Just fantasy football.
Fantasy football. So Mike Mike, send him a message, send him a text, because here's the thing. He'll never respond to my phone calls, but if you message him about fantasy football, dude, he'll pull the mail truck over and FaceTime you sometimes, dude. The guy is a lunatic. So please give Mike a hard time. He really thinks he knows football. I mean, if you remember, Mike said that Tom Brady was washed up, and in his opinion, they weren't even going to do anything.
Yeah, they weren't going to play him.
I'm the least Bucs fan in the world, and they won the Super Bowl. So that might give you a little bit of indication, Mike Murray, and how much he really knows about football.
Well, on the fantasy league, either he picked the wrong people, didn't trade for the right people, or he spent all of his money in the fantasy football, so he can't get any other players. But something is not working out, and I do believe, like, even if he wins this next Sunday and the number 11 trash bag Mazda, even if he loses, Mike still doesn't have enough points to get out of number 12. So,
dude,
he's digging a ditch.
Is he kind of like me? Like last time I played, I had like Deion Sanders was on my team. I had the Emmett something with the Smith. He was in the Cardinals. He was real famous for the Cardinals. He won a bunch. And then I had like Don Mattingly or something. But like I had all these players, and people were like, dude, you're getting 0 points. Well, it was because like I had like put in custom names, and I thought it was like a video game where you pick your stats.
Oh.
And dude, I was losing every game. So I know I talk a lot of shit about Mike, but like I was picking players like that were my own fantasy league.
Gotcha.
So
maybe
John
that's
Madden. John Madden was on my team. He was the coach. So I don't know. Maybe that's what.
Yeah, maybe that's what Mike's deal is, but he's currently in number 12, so I think they need to leave that number 12 to those guys in Seattle, and Mike needs to move up some.
Real deal, Holyfield. Thank you so much to Bayou Showdown. When you look at the amazing events that the whole Custom Car Show Productions has, it's an amazing lineup. You look at Biggity Bayou Showdown before Thanksgiving, you fast forward to Orange Beach Invasion next year. Before you know it, we're going to be at Scraping the Coast 2022 next June in Biloxi. So big ups to the family. Dude, Ron, I want to say like it's been great having you on, but it's really been great not having Mike dial in. So thankfully Dizzy didn't hack into our system. He's been doing the memes great, but when he hacks in and he gets the dial in information for our WebEx call, it really puts a hamper on things. We'll try to get Mike back next week. I've got the question already ready, and it's going to be about an 80s movie, if you can imagine that. So I don't know if Mike's going to be able to get it. And maybe we'll scoot into the 90s because he still hasn't watched Freddy.
Crap. Wow.
Tom Green. Tom Green. So, all right, everyone, thank you for rocking with us this week. We had a little fun. Biggity Boss Bowling swung by. Riggity Ron's in town from Washington, Oregon, wherever the hell that you're at. And Diggity Don
Davis, actually, real quick, just posted the Spark Show 2022 is going to be August 12th through the 14th. You went to the Spark Show last year, didn't you?
Yeah, the Spark Show off the ropes. Now, I didn't make it this last year.
Oh, my bad. I thought you had.
Yeah, no, but I went the two previous years. And it was smoking, dude. Sevierville. All you got to do is open Google Maps. You don't even have to spell it. You just go Sevierville, Tennessee. Google somehow figures that out, and then you can see how far it is to drive. The Spark Show, they're also on Big Cartel. You can pre-register. You can buy shirts. But if they don't have the axe throwing contest this year, I've already told them, I drew a line. You need to up it, okay? The axe contest keeps getting canceled. I want to have the spinning deal. You have Hank on there.
Put Mike on it.
And then, Mike's supposed to be on it. And then put kerosene or what's it called on every deal.
And light them up.
And then what you do is you have someone like Hank randomly pick one person. Like that, like, hey, I want to throw him. And like you get someone that's never thrown an axe before. So somehow you got to work that dynamic in like a Chris Angel deal.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
No, but it could be done.
David Blaine, Chris Angel. What was the one guy that was always in Vegas with the big shows?
David Copperfield?
Yeah, he kind of was like the womanizer. He could, Hank was.
Hank.
Yeah. So, all right, guys, we're having a good time. Appreciate you rocking with us. 257. Next week, we're going to get crazy. We've got a couple guests lined up. We're looking forward to it. enjoy this audio. I had a great time talking to Brian from Grinder TV about so much. Have a safe weekend. We out you.
Peace.
Yo, we're so excited to link up with a homie who's been on the list a long time that really have as a title guest. We've had him on before, man, just talking about cool stuff and cutting up in South Carolina back in the day. But Brian Goude, dude, we just want to welcome you, bro. Salute to you, man. You're a great guy, and you've been doing this stuff a long time, brother.
I appreciate that, man.
So, Brian, dude, you need no introduction, but, I mean, it would be weird to have a guest on and be like, all right, let's just jump right in the interview. So kind of introduce yourself a little bit, because, I mean, some people out there, they need to know you've been out there repping for a long time.
Yeah, I got into mini truck stuff in 1995. So, and I got into the club that I'm still in 1995 as well. So it's kind of just been doing it since then.
Yeah. So because I don't know this exactly, like, where did you grow up? Was it, you lived that Cali life, right?
Yeah. So I was born and raised in Southern California, the Inland Empire, Riverside area, like Riverside, San Bernardino, Moreno Valley. It's like 60 miles or so east of Los Angeles. And then, yeah, I grew up there 37 years.
Wow, I didn't realize that. When you say all those cities, I almost think I'm listening to like a Mac 10 song, or like some Cali stuff. Because, I mean, they're, it's like from listening to hip-hop so long, Actually, this morning, I was on the way to work, and I was listening to nothing but the Cavi. Mac 10 and stuff, and I was like, damn, man, it's like 6:30 in the morning, and I'm out here repping the West. I'm like, I know you guys always laughed at that, you and Chad Lucas and everyone.
Oh, you always are, you're the hip-hop king, man. I wish I knew. I wish I was into it as much as you were, you know what I mean?
No, it's just crazy stuff. But, yeah, that nothing but the Cavi hit is still the jam. But, no, that's really cool, man, because when we talk to Ruben a lot, and we talk about like kind of that SoCal, like he always mentions like Balboa, and I know I've heard of Whittier and all these different places, but man, the car culture and the truck culture and the lowrider culture was so big. Like, did you ever see any of that, or like what age did you start to kind of get pulled into this automotive culture stuff? I mean, obviously 95, but like, were you seeing cruises and stuff going down?
Yeah, so I grew up, like I said, in the Riverside. It's called the Inland Empire. And then where Ruben usually talks about, that's Orange County. That's like kind of that's more towards the coast. So It's two totally different things. Two very close areas. They're close to each other, but they're very different. I remember going to the skating rink. I lived at the skating rink, and it was on a street called Magnolia, and it was like a 4-lane road. And every Friday and Saturday night, that place was packed, just cruising up and down, up and down, up and down. You always hear about cruising Whittier because it's famous, but this was the same thing, but just in the Inland Empire in our area. And so every time we'd be at the skating rink, we just see it cruising up and down. That's kind of where I saw that stuff for the first time, and lowriders and things like that.
Yeah, that's just epic times. I mean, I remember just being younger, and like, I didn't do a lot of the local stuff, but it was like, you had these dances and you had the skating rinks and stuff, because it's like back before our introduction to like little handheld computer stuff was like Game Boys, and it's like, remember those? Like, you couldn't play that for that long. You know what I mean? You wanted to be out hanging with the kinfolk,
Yeah, the skating rink, like I said, that's where we would get dropped off, and we would just spend hours there. And I remember when I saw everyone cruising, I was like, man, you could do whatever you want. If you have your license, you could you could go wherever you want. You don't have to stay home. You could just drive around the neighborhood and just do whatever you want. So I remember being a freshman in high school and I hung out with some of the older people, and we would go down to the beach, go down to Balboa, like where Ruben was talking about. And I was like, this is amazing. Get in a car, doing whatever you want, the freedom, it's kind of crazy to think about. And now it's just like, I just want to stay home.
It's weird how the tables turn. And whenever he talks about Balboa, I always think that Ruben's going to pop up through my computer with like a headband on. You know what I mean? And I always think I'm like, is it a mashup between Rocky Balboa and First Blood?
Yeah, Balboa's it's just as part of Newport Beach. It's called Balboa Island, and it's actually a peninsula. and it's just like a little beach town.
Yeah, that's pretty cool stuff, man. Now, in that era, like when I think of the late 80s into the 90s, and I was reading my first magazines I started reading were like BMX Plus. I mean, I was addicted to that magazine. Anytime I could get my hands on it, I think they were like $1.99, $2.95 back then. So you had the BMX stuff. You had, obviously, just the explosion of skateboarding like in the 70s into the 80s. But like when we looked at, there was a TV show, I don't know if I ever talked about it, on Nickelodeon. It was called Skate TV. And then you would watch, we would see, and actually the guy that was in the Scooby-Doo movie, I think, was in it. He was in Scream, too. He was like the kind of the dorky, like, hey, Southern California dude.
Yeah.
But like the skateboarding, the BMX, and all that stuff, it was so big. Like, do you like think back? Like, did all your homies have bikes and stuff back in those, like before?
Oh, we all did. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all we did was skateboard, BMX. In fact, I broke my arm, both bones in my arm on BMX bike in 3rd grade.
Damn.
We used to go down to a shop called Pratt Brothers. It was like it's now a Big 5 Sporting Goods, but they set up a half pipe every couple of months, and like Gator and Tony Hawk and Caballero and Lance Mountain, all those guys would always be there. So yeah, I definitely grew up in that skate BMX era.
Yeah, it's crazy to me how much influence. I mean, you and I always talk about the history of mini trucks and stuff. But if people aren't following Tony Hawk, I mean, I absolutely, he's one of my favorite people on social media to post or to follow, because he's like a really positive dude. But man, like people send him video and he'll be like, "Yep, this was 81 at the such and such skate." He's got a great memory, but that whole era was just something that we'll probably never see again, man.
I don't think so. Yeah, I think every generation has something special, and that was definitely our special thing. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I always I keep saying I'm going to share this clip, but for anybody, for some reason, I love the Police Academy movies, and in Police Academy 3, there's the scene where they hired, I think Stacy Peralta was the stunt coordinator, and I've seen a breakdown. Tony Hawk did a series. I forget if it was for GQ magazine or something for YouTube, and he broke down like skateboarding in movies, and he mentioned like when he was on set there, like how it was real because they did this and they did that. But like in that movie was kind of cool because they have this skateboarding scene. One of the guys is wearing Air Jordans, the Air Jordan 1s, which were like fresh then. And then you have at the very end when they come back in the mall there's the guys, the freestyle bikes, and like that was such a big thing back then with the uniforms and everything.
Oh yeah. That I remember that movie, or that scene in that movie pretty well. And obviously you had Rad and BMX Bandits and Gleaming the Cube and all that stuff.
Yep. Mike really liked that one movie, and I don't think anybody's even seen it. It was like an inline skating movie, and I was like, Mike, that's not the cool stuff. Like the skate decks and skateboarding and the bikes were the good stuff, but the inline skaters, they were kind of the dorks,
We are talking about Mike.
Right. Yeah, because remember when those guys would be on the half pipe when ESPN would show it, they had to put their legs like that really weird thing, like where both of their skates were like facing out. I was like, man, that's just I couldn't do that, man.
They always got hated on, right? The skateboarders didn't like, they didn't like the inline skate guy. And I think that's how they do with the scooter kids nowadays. Yeah. I have no idea, but like, don't they get hated on by the other guys?
I think so, man. I think so. It's crazy how it's kind of come full circle. But so like in 95-ish, how do you get roped into the scene? Like, does one of your homies go, "Yo, man, you got to come to one of these hellacious river runs, dude"? Or I mean, what's the deal?
Pretty close. So I used to go to the street races every Wednesday. I graduated from the skating rink days, got my license, went instantly into the illegal street racing. So every Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday we had street races, and I had a little Toyota Tercel. Then I got a 65 Mustang, and I remember seeing the Mustang broke down, so I ended up with an 86 Toyota pickup truck. And I remember seeing these guys at the street races with these body drop trucks, and it was a club called Seductive. They're still around, obviously, but these guys, they were on the ground with hydraulics or airbags, or not airbags, sorry, but hydraulics. And I don't know what it was, but it drew me in, and I went and talked to them, and I almost got in seductive at that point, but yeah, so that's kind of how it was. Legal street racing, saw some trucks laid on the ground, and just caught my attention.
Well, when we look back at like Mini Truckin magazine from that era, it was really starting to heat up. You know, they had went monthly by that period, but I mean, if you think back to some of those issues around then, I mean, California A was the place to be. I mean, there were so many iconic trucks. What are some of your early memories from some of those river runs? Was it just, you know, like a flash, you know, because it was so long ago, or do you have any kind of, you know, solid memories from those early days?
It's just a lot of partying, you know, like just, I don't know. It's just a lot of, and what's funny is I in high school, I took video production class. So I had a video camera on me for a lot of this stuff. And I have those tapes, and no one's seen them, but I have River Run tapes and Rezo tapes and all these tapes from back then, and I'm just waiting for the right time to kind of go through them. But yeah, just seeing the partying and the camaraderie, and it was just insane to me, and I didn't know what to think of it, but I just knew that I really liked it.
Well, here's something for you. And earlier in the episode, I did a review of this book, right? And I don't know if you've heard of this. My homie Randy from NC Florida told me about it. So tip of the cap, Bal2 NC on Instagram. But he told me about this book, and he goes, "Yo, Jay," he goes, "I think you would like this. Have you ever heard of this?" And he sent me a photo, and I was like, "No, man, like my interest is piqued." A guy that was in Local Finesse. Now I searched his name on Facebook. But Robert Kamalski, I believe is how you say it. He wrote a book.
Wasn't he? He was Courtney's roommate, wasn't he?
Yes, and that's why I want more people to know about this book. And I think it's to the point, like when I bought it, it was under $20. It came from Canada, and it was one of those, like, I think they print it when you buy it. Like it's one of those, and like it came in like less than 2 weeks, right, across the line. But Local Finesse, and it's called Local Finesse: Roads to Ruin. And I would caution anybody, you know, I kind of talked about it earlier. It has some pretty graphic stuff in it. Like, he doesn't hold back at all. Like, I think, you know, like you and I, we've been around a lot of crazy stuff, and like some of it you're like, I don't know, have the statute of limitations up yet, you know? But like he tells it like going to like the river runs, getting fucking smashed. I mean, having the worst headache ever. Like when you're like, dude, I'll never drink again, and like the next weekend it's like balls of the walls, dude. But I would tell anybody to read that book, dude.
It was pretty intense. Like I know that the house that those guys hung out at and lived in for a while was similar to a house that we had at the time in the Inland Empire. We called it the Fat Farm, and it was just a group of mini truck guys that every night we were there, and then it's just the crazy things that happened in that house. Obviously, crazy things happen to younger people, but when you hang out with a group of people, you know, 20 people, 30 people, 40 people over few years time, crazier things happen.
Yeah, and that was the cool thing when I finished reading the book pretty much on the way to C10 intervention on the plane, and I just was like flipping the pages as quick as I could, reading it, and it was cool because when he lived with Courtney, they just talked about like going out every night, you know, Taco Tuesday, getting beers, hanging out. So they kind of had that, you know, we think back to like 20, 25 years ago when time, you know, we had a little bit more time, you know, and the homies were like, yo, let's go out tonight. And you're like, okay, cool. Like now it's like, oh, dude, I'm freaking tired. I got to work on a video. Mm-hmm. But that era, I think, there's, you know, before, like, think about it, before cell phones, right? And he even talked about oftentimes like driving really far to a show, and he's like, oh shit, we had to stop at a payphone and page the homie, and then the homie had to page you back. Like, there was a lot of effort in going to a damn show back then.
yeah. And then it's pretty interesting. There's a couple interesting things there, but anytime anyone says it used the good times. I remember the good times, or it's not like that anymore. What's the saying that everyone says? That's not like it used to be. Right. So when anybody says that, and I know there's people listening that have said that multiple times, it's not the times that have changed. It's you that have changed. You know what I mean? So everything that happened back then, back when we were younger, still happens, but we don't do that anymore because we've changed. And that's okay. You know what I mean? So it's okay to not do those things anymore. I used to have house parties at my house every weekend. You know what I mean? And now I don't want anyone at my house.
Yeah, it is interesting.
So
it is.
I miss those days? We had a DJ set up. Forbidden Fantasy had we had our meetings, and No Regrets had their meetings on the other side of town, and we would end up either at my house or at Ernie's house. And do I miss those times? Yes, but I don't want to do that now. But I'm not going to say, I wish it was like it used to be, or however that excuse that people use. It's or the scene's changed, or this has changed, or whatever. It's just like you just have to go to shows and you'll have fun.
Yeah, it's an interesting take. There's a couple pieces I'll unpack there, but the thing that I think of is, like, I've been going to shows like Slamfest, 24 straight years. You've been going to shows a little bit longer, but like you've been to a ton of shows, and I think, like, when I've hinted to my friends, like, hey, I'm going to start slowing down a little bit, they're like, no, you can't, man. And so I have to remind some people, I'm like, look, you just started going to shows like 2 years ago. Like, do I love going to every show? And I mean, you as well as I know, man, like, we'll link up at a house party and yeah, man, we'll chop it up. But like, some people have to realize too, like what you just said, Brian, what I get from that is like, dude, like, you live you live the lifestyle, our lifestyle for all these years. It's like, it's okay to be like, hey, you guys all get crazy in the parking lot till 5 a.m. We've done that for 24 straight years. You know what I'm saying? And it's no diss. So we're not trying to like be like, oh, we're better, but it's like, we truly have lived that lifestyle, and you guys arguably in the West have lived it even, even crazier for longer.
Yeah. It's just, I remember, going to truck runs and staying up till I wanted to be the last person up. So when this group of people would go to sleep, I'd go with this group of people, and I would just keep making my rounds until there was no one left. And I remember thinking, I don't ever want to not do this.
Yep.
I always want to do this. And now I'm okay with not doing that.
Yep.
I'm okay with, like, I'll leave a show and go straight to my hotel and just pass out to the next day. And I used to have FOMO, fear of missing out on the hotel party outside or whatnot. But now, I'd be like, they're hanging out. We got to go. We got to hang out. And now I'm just like, I'm good.
Yeah. And people don't realize, like, you have this unique side to what you do. When I go to a show, like, some people are like, man, you're moving so fast. Like, I think about it like, if I wait all year for a show where I drive 12 hours, I'm only going to be at this show, let's just say, 16 hours. Let's say you're there all day, 8 hours each day. Usually not even that. But like, for me, like, I want to capture, like, I want to have a photo that I can post in 5 years ago. Oh yeah, I remember Matt Smith's truck was there. Or, so like, I have this, like, in my head, I kind of feel like once I'm there, no matter if I'm there for street trucks or I'm there just for pleasure, like, I kind of feel like I'm on the clock, and I feel like there's like 50 things in my head I want to accomplish. But like, rest in peace to our friend Greg. Like, when I saw you at Sicknick a few years ago, you're there after everything closes down, and you're getting these perspectives underneath. We'll talk more about the whole Grindr TV stuff, but talking about like what you do, like, you're underneath this big rig, and you're trying to get this shot of like this and then that, right? So it's like, kind of like you and I and a lot of other people, we've lived it for so long, but we have this other agenda that we want to accomplish when we're at a show.
Essentially, at least for me, it's my full-time job now. So I went from going to a show to drink and party. And I was like, how do I make this of my living? I figured it out how to make it my living. And now it's a job. So yeah, it's things have changed. Like, I still have fun at car shows and stuff, but it's just a whole different approach.
Yeah. And I want to get into, when you were talking about some of the house parties, just to kind of, to go back a little bit, like, I remember watching DVDs, and I forget if it was Low Life Mikey's or it was some of those early ones where it showed a lot of the house parties, right? The girls there, everybody drinking crazy, and it was like that. You could kind of tell some of the music was from that early 2000s era and stuff. What were some of the maybe videos that you remember being a part of, or something that maybe inspired you kind of early on to kind of end up doing some of the stuff you're doing? Do you remember any of those kind of titles or people that were kind of really spearheading things?
Mike from Low Life Video, he was definitely the one. He's the reason that Grindr magazine started. not necessarily what he was doing on video, but him traveling all over the place. And I was like, I would be at work and him and Ernie would be leaving to go to a show. And I'm like, I want to do that.
Right. You're like, damn, I can't get a day off.
Yeah. Like, how do I do that? They would go and sell DVDs and pay for their trip. And so I finally said, well, how do I figure this out? And I don't want to start making videos because he was already making videos. So that's when Grinder Magazine started.
Yeah, it's interesting. For anyone that's out there listening, we're talking to Brian Goude from Grinder TV and so much more. But when Brian talks about this early edition of the magazine, a lot of folks may not know that there was a magazine. So, Brian, talk to us about kind of circle when that started, because I know there was a handful of issues. They're kind of collector's items now. I have several of them. But, like, in that day, like, talk to us about kind of when it started and, like, how you actually made all that happen.
So I sold my first house, so I had some extra money, and I was either going to start a business or buy a boat. And looking back, I probably should have bought the boat. But so we started Grinder Magazine, and it was me, a guy named Galen Armenta, who used to be the associate editor for Sport Truck Magazine and Mini Truckin Magazine. Mm-hmm. And then my buddy Richard, who was in Forbidden Fantasy, the funny story about Richard is when he was interviewed alongside Mike Alexander for the editor of Mini Truckin Magazine back in the day. Oh. Mike ended up getting the job. Richard ended up starting Grinder Magazine with me and Galen. And yeah, we wanted to start a magazine where it wasn't just mini trucks, it was mini trucking. Because you have these cars and you have these other vehicles that if it wasn't for mini trucks, they wouldn't look like that either. You know what I mean? Like, there wouldn't be a full-size body drop. There wouldn't be a Honda Accord that someone cut up and did what they did to it. They did that because of the mini truck scene. So we wanted to showcase that too.
Yeah, I'm glad that you said that, because if you look back at Mini Truckin, they added, some people forget they added to the title of it that magazine, and it was around that era when so many clubs like NC, Forbidden, Severed, all these different clubs were RA laying out these Honda Civics and just doing some really, really cool stuff to them, and kind of fell under the whole lifestyle, right?
Well, I think Mini Truckin itself was born out of being broke. You know what I mean? So your first vehicle you got when you were 15, 16 years old was a mini truck because they were cheap, and you usually got it handed down to you or whatever the case may be. But then when you started getting into the 90s, you started getting, Honda Civics were cheap, or used, compact cars were cheap. So basically mini truckers will modify anything they have. So I think that just that was part of it. There was other factors involved, but I think that's part of it, because mini truckers just will modify whatever they have. And if they had a Honda Civic and they didn't have a Toyota truck, well, they're going to modify the Honda Civic.
Yeah, no doubt. And we've seen that even like some of the old Steve Nielsen VHS tapes when he talked about a little bit of like the VWs. We know there's a huge connection there, right? Because a lot of the mini truckers had VWs. I know Ronnie's talked about that, even with the C10 guys. But a lot of it was like parts. Like I've heard Steve Nielsen, I think even Bob Grant in the past talk about, well, we ended up using this front end because we had these parts around. It wasn't like today, and it's no disrespect. Like, it's a good thing that things have come to the point that they are, where you can call up, like Tom Bennett, my homie, did, order a GSI Fab chassis for his F100. Boom, just shows up in a big crate. I mean, like, who would have ever thought, Brian, like all those years ago, that you could literally just call up and order a chassis through the mail?
You can put trucks together like Lego sets.
Yep.
I mean, especially the C10s, because they make every single part you can buy brand new aftermarket, where, the mini truck guys, that you could never do that, and you still can never do that. And I don't think you'll ever be able to do that. But yeah, it was all born. All that stuff was all born from mini trucks.
Speaking a little bit about the magazine, I'm looking back. Ironically enough, Steve Wilk at I still remember this. It was Showfest 05. He gave me a very hard to find copy. He goes, he was driving a lifted. You probably remember this. He had a lifted maybe OBS truck that when you guys a lot of you drove out from the West Coast, and he goes, "Oh, I've got that issue. Come over here, man." And he climbs up in his rig and he goes, "Here you go." And it was Grinder magazine with the red full size with wire wheels and the chick on it. That one was Grinder magazine. It seemed like it kind of morphed. I remember the Magnum issue where it was Grinder custom cars and trucks. Talk to us a little bit about like how many issues maybe do you think are out there in terms of the count? But then, like, what was it like trying to like line up feature vehicles in the early days? Was it easy based upon where you lived?
So there were 7 total Grinder magazines.
Okay.
The first 6 were done by me and Galen, and then the last one was me and another guy trying to kind of bring it back. Mm-hmm. But no, it wasn't too hard because living in Southern California, you obviously had a plethora of custom vehicles, and then we were so close to Phoenix. Like the first cover truck, the first Grinder magazine had a green mini truck on it from Phoenix, mm-hmm. and it also had Kevin Grunyon's dually from Phoenix, and then Gumby, Gumby's wagon was on the cover from Phoenix. The red truck you're talking about with wires, Phoenix, and there's the S10 that was on the cover. That was actually the guitarist from the band Atreyu.
Really?
Yeah, his name was Dan. Yeah, Dan Jacobs, Big Dan was his name, and he owned that truck. And his brother owned the Tacoma that MIC built with all the playing cards on it.
Yep.
So that was his brother. So it's kind of a cool connection there.
Now I'm going back from memory, right? Some of these, like, dude, this is the cool thing about, because there were so many different little eras in this mini truck scene that we all love, but Plain Jane, for instance, I know that's a really good one because it had the Hangar 09 in the background, and it kind of had across the top custom ride, shows women lifestyle. But then you also had the issue that had Extensives 300. So kind of at the infancy of when those Chrysler 300s were reintroduced. I think it was mm-hmm. the Chrysler 300, that amazing car that Extensive built. Then you also had the chick on it. So those were a couple that I remember. The Magnum, you mentioned a couple. And then, of course, you had the red full-size, which anytime I post that one, that guy's still around. He's an Instagram Joker or something. He's he loves the love that he gets for that. Well, he gets a lot of love for that thing. It's Rob Noble.
Yeah, I believe he gifted that truck to a No Regrets member.
Yeah,
if
that's
I'm
sick.
Correct. And then the 300, that was Sunshine, the girl that posed on that car.
Oh, that's right. That's Ronnie. Ronnie from Flat Out, his wife.
We shot that in. Where did we shoot that at?
Greenville.
Greenville.
Oh, that was Greenville. Yeah, because he and I were talking one night. He's got one of the old jumpsuit. Remember there was a photo in Mini Truckin', and one of the
there was 2 pairs of prison pants, and Ronnie had one, and Greg Ballard. They both ended up with prison pants.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
And the funny thing about the Plain Jane issue, that was actually more rare than the red truck issue, because the printer that printed Plain Jane messed up. So if you look in that issue, there's a misprint. There's like a half-page misprint, and we only got like 200 total issues of that magazine because I told the printer that I wasn't going to pay unless he fixed it. He refused to fix it, so we ended up losing a few $1,000s because he refused to do it, and we only got a couple issues, and that was the end of it.
Dude, that's insane, man. Yeah, that's a cool issue. The Joker's Wild Truck was cool because it ran in tailgate, which we could dive into that whole era, which was amazing. But specific to Grinder, the other thing that I loved was Infinite Designs. I forget if they morphed into Fuel.
They're same guys as Fuel Market now.
Okay, that's what I thought. I always loved the ad in there, and I posted it on Lincoln Attic before. There was a 61 Lincoln Continental blue that had kind of those early tribal kind of graphics that were real popular with the hot chick in it. That was just like one of their ads, but I know they were one of the supporters back in the day.
Oh, yeah. Brandon that owns Fuel Market, and then Daniel the artist. They're good guys. They've been doing our car club or our Forbidden Fantasy show artwork since 2000. They've done all the Rezo stuff. They've done a lot of the shows, and just talented guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. What do you like when I look back at? I'm going from memory, right? So I remember looking at the one that had the Magnum on it, and those cars were super popular in the time, kind of even like the 300 was from Extensive. And I remember there was a photo in there of Chad Lucas's Pathfinder, and it was funny because it said some like insert rumor here, because remember that thing was like, oh, it's getting done, it kind of bounced around, and then after he sold it, of course, it's bounced around. It's kind of that cover curse, I guess you could call it. But what are some of your memories from putting that magazine together for all those, for that length of time? I mean, any good funny memories from that era?
So here's a funny one. So I never traveled to car shows prior to that. I always just stayed local.
Uh-huh.
So the first time I ever flew, I was like 2 years old, barely remember it. But then we were like, all right, we need to fly to some shows and spread the word about this magazine and all this stuff. So me and my buddy hopped on a plane and flew to Blood Drag in Florida when it was, I forgot what that little airport was.
Yeah, that was on when Eddie moved it to North Florida. That was Blood Drag 05 that you guys did the coverage for.
Yeah, what was that little town called? I forgot. It was right off the 10.
Dude, it's going to escape my memory real quick. They moved it.
Live Oak.
Yeah, Live Oak. They moved it from West Palm to Live Oak. Thank you.
Yeah. So that's the show we were going to, and we ended up, I believe it was me, Galen, and Greg that went on that plane, and it was the worst turbulence. I've still to this day, the worst turbulence that I've ever experienced. And it's actually on one of the low life videos because I had a camera. Mike gave me a camera and he was like, film your trip out there and I'll put it on. And I don't remember which it's on because I don't know if you also knew this, but in a couple of the low life videos, there's secret menus.
Oh,
so
there's some Easter egg deals.
Yeah, there's some Easter eggs. So if you scrolled the thing over like down, the thing would disappear and you would push play and there were Easter eggs in some of those DVDs.
Dude, they're all going to start getting snatched up now.
One of those Easter eggs was our trip and people were screaming on that plane and that was just kind of an interesting memory, our first out of state trip and all that and almost thinking that we were going to die.
No, I appreciate you sharing that stuff because, I mean, to me, that's the cool thing about our scene. Like, we can have someone from the East Coast on, and they can drop some knowledge. But I've always looked forward to having you on as a title guest because you've been a part of a lot. But I mean that with all respect because really, you put the work in all these years. And when did you start? Like around that era, we know Street Source, Street Scene originally, and then I think they were going to get sued or something because the name was so close to a Hot Rod magazine, and it kind of morphed to Street Source. I think I'm saying that right. But that era was so big on the online content, and then you guys were doing the magazine. Like, what played? Yeah. I mean, I know a lot of times it's capital, right? But like, what played the biggest role you think in the magazine going away back then? Did you guys just burn out, or was it kind of money side of it?
So that it was the economy. When the economy tanked in 08, 09, whatever it was, we had just got approved to be on newsstands.
Really?
And we were going through all that stuff. Yeah, we had a distributor, we had a barcode, we had all this stuff, and then when we started to try to collect on some ad revenue, it wasn't happening because that's the last thing that these companies are going to pay for is their ads when their companies are, pretty close to shutting the doors and stuff. And they're definitely not going to pay a small time magazine. They're going to go and pay the bigger magazines with, first before us. So that just kind of went away with when the economy hit. And I was still working full time. I never stopped working. So I just continued working my job and we just folded it up. And then a couple years later, another one of my buddies that wanted to try to start it again. So he pooled some money together and came out with another issue and realized that just wasn't going to work.
Yeah, it just was kind of I don't want to say it was a dying era, but it's hard to get your footing. Like, I mean, obviously you guys had the connections and amazing content.
Yeah, and
it's just not easy to always to get it and sustain it for an X amount of time.
No, and I just didn't know enough You know what I mean? I never went to any type of business school. You know, people always like talk down on school these days and how and not important it is, but go try to start a business without any knowledge and you'll find out how important it is. You know what I mean? It's like, it's, I just had no idea about anything. The real world, you know, really hits you when you're spending a bunch of money on things and you have no idea how to do out of the path to go that, you know, I thought, I have a lot of friends. They'll buy my magazine. And it takes more than that.
Yeah, it definitely does. Well, I brought up the other online magazine. You probably remember, if we go back a little bit from Street Source, when we think about sporttruck.com, many of us were going there because they had the classifieds that were fire. You know what I mean? If you were looking for some Beltec drop shocks or a topper, I mean, dude, it was the place to go. They had the classifieds, they had the show coverage, which was fire, but they had that little chat. And in those early days, I started using BD94S10. Do you remember like the sporttruck.com era and then into the street scene days, all of that awesomeness? Oh
yeah, I remember. If you know what I mean, because the cool thing about sport, and I've just pulled it up right now, it's still up. The website's still up.
Yep.
Yeah, it was cool because you would see the show coverage would be instant, and there would be more pictures of the vehicles in there, so your chances of your vehicle making it into the show coverage was greater. You know, and it was just cool to see it. And even do you remember partypage.net?
Yes, dude, that's one of the gems right there, dog. Still up.
Yeah, that's that was a good one. And then the Act One Car Club, Donald the blog from truckrun.net used to be an Act One, and his, like, I want to say that website's still up too, and there's some gems on there.
Yes, you sent me one of those like a year or two ago, and I could have it mixed up. Party Page, and then there was truckrun.net.
So truckrun.net is Donald, and he started that, you know, obviously a long time ago. And, and it's pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy stuff. And like you said, in those eras, or in that era, there was a lot of awesome stuff because the internet was kind of emerging out of the late 90s. I mean, I remember going to some of the old websites, like you said, Forever Low and Act One, and some of that stuff is still up amazingly. Like, sometimes I wonder, like, who's paying for this, and if it's just on some old free server. But the cool thing about Street Source too, right? Remember, you could have your profile, you had the threads, you had the chat, but they were at the infancy. I think that they were ahead in so many ways. I remember when they first launched gaming, they had this thing where, like, you could play solitaire and you could do these things, and I was never a big gamer, but they had it where, like, if you hit so many points, you would get, like, a sticker. Or they had this thing where it was like, oh, if you get featured in a magazine and it has a Street Source, you know, windshield banner, like, you'll get money, like $25, $100, whatever it was, right? And they were kind of at the infancy of, like, kind of like a guerrilla marketing type thing. But the gaming, if you think about now, I mean, it's hard pressed to find someone on an airplane or a kid, you know, in a car ride playing a game on a phone to get points, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I think Street Source was way ahead of its time. You know what I mean? As far as, like, the interactive part with the chat room, the membership stuff that they did, you know, just there's a ton of stuff, but I think they were definitely, they went from just show coverage to, like, being super interactive. And I think that was one of the very first. I mean, even the websites now, some of the websites, the current websites, don't even do that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've asked people, because I remember, and it's funny because Johnny O, I think, he had gotten out of the magazine stuff from what I had heard, and then he was kind of doing just a day job. And then supposedly, if my memory serves me correct, Street Source, they came and they said, hey, we're going to go to like monthly or bi-monthly magazine. And I think Johnny O came on as the editor, and they put out some heat, man. I forget if it was 15 issues, but, like, I remember seeing Bill Carlton's Dually, like, when it was in Laughlin. I think that was on the cover of Street Source. And I've asked Max. Max never followed up with me, damn it. But Max, I asked him, because I know, like, Bill probably has all those plaques because he was, like, the guy always going in the news. But, like, I really wish someone would drop that content. Someone has it saved, because I remember my buddy Russ Gano, like, he would print those out. And he had, like, the packet, and we would look through, and I was like, okay, boom. But it was cool because it was in the early 2000s, and it was like, boom, you were featured. And I think those people, they saw the vision that, hey, it's going to be an online world at some point.
Yeah, they definitely saw that, I forgot who bought Straight. I think Bob Hayes had something to do with it, or someone injected some money into it. But yeah, John has those plaques. The stuff he shot for Street Source, I remember seeing him hanging in his office at his old house. Don't know if he still has them because it's been quite some time, but he's got a couple of those printed out.
Yeah, it's just a kind of a good era, man, for sure.
Yeah, it was definitely ahead of its time.
I know we briefly talked about FFF, Forbidden Fantasy, but talk to us a little bit about, because like for some reason in my mind, I always think like, you always remind me like, yo, Jay, I didn't start the club. Like I came in as a member, right? But when I think of Forbidden, I think of, a few of you, like always think of you. I think of Frank. I think of Holly. There's a lot of good folks out there, right, in that club. Talk to us a little bit about what you know of the history of FFF.
It started in 93 by a guy named Todd Ramberg. And Todd, he passed away in 2010.
Damn, rest in peace.
And I got in 95. And I became president in 98. And that's pretty much it. I've been kind of president, however you want to say it, ever since. And we've expanded slowly over the years and just kind of grown up together. A lot of us in the SoCal chapter and in the NorCal chapter, San Diego, we've known each other for a long time and have grown up together.
Now, I don't know a lot about the Southern Mini Truckin' Council, and I don't know how much we'll talk about it, but being from, you guys are from kind of California, Arizona, that West Coast, are you automatically patched into that organization? Like, is there any connection there? I mean, I always wanted to kind of know.
So the council was started in the 80s, I believe, by like Bob Hayes and a couple of the other guys. But yeah, you had to go to 3 meetings. They were at they used to be at a park, and then when I started going, they were at a college in an auditorium, and a couple representatives from each club were there. And this was before you could share flyers on the internet. So you'd go in, you get flyers from, for the upcoming shows, and it would be a meeting for an hour long, and people would go up, talk about upcoming events, past events, what happened at the events. And it was so much fun listening to, Bob Hayes get up there and talk about what happened at the truck runs and the dumb people that were there. And then they would have like roll call. Okay. Like, here's a new club. It's their first meeting. They're going to get up and say who they are. And then if it was a club's third meeting, they would get voted on, just like kind of you got voted in your club.
Yeah. And they're on Facebook as SCMTC, Southern California Mini Truck Council.
Mini Truck Council.
Now,
so they're still around, but
okay.
it's a lot smaller. The world changed from back when. I mean, there would be a few hundred people at these meetings. It'd be like a car show in itself,
Yeah, and a few years ago, 2019, when I got an opportunity to go out and link up with you guys in Oregon for Relaxing in the Northwest, The Awakening, you and I were talking one morning, and I was talking about, because that was at that was right there, like almost at August 1st, which was the 20th anniversary of Street Trucks Magazine, and you were almost saying that you kind of remembered like when Courtney maybe was even at one and was announcing, hey, there's this new magazine coming.
Yeah, he got up in front of everyone and said, hey, I'm starting a new magazine. And they told us what it was, and we were like, oh, this is awesome. Like, one of our own is up there, and they're going to start a magazine, at least for me, because because nowadays, like, if you, like, the editor of Street Trucks Magazine is Chris Hamilton. So I want to reach out to him, I can message him on Facebook or Instagram or whatever. But back in the day, you couldn't do that. These guys were, you couldn't just reach out to him like that. So when you saw a magazine editor at a show, it was like seeing a celebrity, and so when you saw Courtney get up there and say, I'm going to start a magazine, that was a big deal. Nowadays, someone says, I'm going to start a magazine. It's like, who cares? It doesn't have that impact, you know what I mean, that it did back then.
Yeah, especially coming from someone like him. I mean, even if you think back 20 plus years ago, in 99, it's like, he was beloved then, right? I mean, NC was well established. Everybody knew him, in that era when you had a magazine person, guy, lady, shooting your vehicle, like we all looked up to them. We're like, oh man, we can get our stuff featured, or I mean, it was
you saw
yeah.
When you went to the grocery store, opened a magazine, saw someone's name in there, and then you met that person. That was a big deal.
Yes.
It's not that way anymore because we have the internet and I can just type in their name and I can I can look at their whole life on social media sometimes. You know what I mean? It's not a secret anymore. It doesn't hit the same.
Yeah, real talk, man. Just thinking back to the old days, there's so much like you said, I mean 20, you're going on basically 25, 26 years in the scene. I want to kind of throw, maybe it's an easy question, maybe it's a tough one, but I'm going to ask you two questions. The first one I'm going to start with, what do you love most? You can imagine what the next question is going to be. What do you love most about the mini trucking scene, kind of the culture, the lifestyle over the past 25, 26 years? Like, what do you look back and say, dude, the thing that I enjoyed the most so far is this? I know it's a loaded question.
I know. You know what I enjoy, honestly, is I just like the trucks. I like the people, obviously. This could be the same answer to what I hate the most about the scene. No, I think that the mini truck guys have a challenge. They've always been challenged, unlike any other scene, because you're taking something that was never supposed to be laid out or on the ground or modified the way that we do it, but we're not given parts like other scenes are. You know what I mean? And I guess that's come in the last 10 years, but it goes back to whatever. It's just like I just think that that's cool. I think that takes imagination. I think it takes risk. I think it takes fun people. It takes fun people to cut their truck up and not care. And some of these guys, I mean, I remember quitting my job just to go to a truck runner, or it's my only truck. So we have to finish what we're doing. We have to finish lowering this tonight or cutting this notch tonight because I have to drive home. Right. So I think I like that part about it. You know what I mean? I like the part where there wasn't a lot of money involved. So these guys that are dropping $50, $60, $70, $100,000 to get their truck built is great. But the mini truck guys really, really cracked me up because we just didn't care.
Yeah, true that. And something that I always like to, put the flag in the ground from a mini trucker standpoint is, I mean, we know, you and I know, and Ernie said it during the West Coast Influence, is like, the mini trucking was kind of born out of, I mean, there were mini trucks in the late 50s into the 60s. If you look at the Japanese trucks, like I think Ernie, rest in peace, he even did an article that's out there on Motor Trend site where he talks about the history of the mini truck. And we know from the 70s and the 80s, the Vanners, they kind of went to all these different runs and stuff and morphed into the gas prices and stuff, and then boom, now you got these mini trucks. But I know there were hot rodders. I know low riding goes back to the late 40s, early 50s even. But like the thing that I want everyone to know that with mini truckers, like Brian Genro, man, tip of the cap. Like, I mean, would someone have eventually put an airbag on a truck? Maybe, yeah. I mean, we all know that was where it was headed. But for Brian to have that foresight, right, and he built the first NC truck that was on the cover, and you look at all these different vehicles, the brand new Ombre, and so much more. It's like I want people to know that, like you remember this, Brian, before these hot rodder guys in the late 90s, early 2000s, before they were running like a 20 with like a the old original manifold air suspension stuff. Like mini truckers, I truly think that like we brought all of that in, right? And that's what made a guy go, oh, well, I'm going to take my 50 Cadillac and I'm going to put it on air and, this and that. And I guess someone could argue and say, well, no, we were already doing tubular front ends and all this stuff. But I truly think that the trucks of today was a mashup between the sport truck and the mini truckers, taking these static drop trucks, going, okay, we're going to put a 20. Oh, we're going to put a 22. I remember seeing the first body drop S10 on 20s, and we're like, dude, blown away. I do think that we played a huge part into where we are today.
Well, yeah, I think because we were younger with less, there was less risk involved as far as a few different things, but we pushed the limits, and you need someone to push the limits in order to see what's possible. And, you push the limit so far, you go over the limit and you got to come back. And so we did that. How big, what's the lowest we can go? What's the most we can cut? What's the biggest wheel we can put under here? And then you do it to the point where it either looks dumb or it's not safe. And then you refine that and you go, okay, this size wheel looks good with this truck, and this is with this suspension, and we can take it down to the rocker, and that's where it needs to be. So we pushed the envelope until we kind of wrote that, we wrote it up.
Yeah, and we've talked to Big Juice Turner from Florida. I mean, he had arguably some people think he had the first set of 20s in the state of Florida. I mean, we're talking 96, 97, extended cab truck, hydros in the front, bagged in the back, body dropped with, a topper. I mean, in 96, and granted, you had our customs and, you had all these different guys, but I mean, they were pushing the limits. Now, granted, channeling, as you and I both know, came from the hot rod scene and that type of thing, but I think the mini truckers, we did truly push things over the edge, and it was cool to go to Woodland, California for C10 intervention, because what I see a lot of is the influences of the mini truckers, of these big billet wheels, of, full chassis, and granted, for a long time, to your point, I mean, it was just a body drop. It wasn't a full chassis, and things maybe got out of hand a little bit, but we look back, I think you and I would agree, some of the most iconic trucks ever still have a stock frame under them. They have crazy paint, and they're just etched in our minds forever,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's different avenues where you push the limits, and a lot of times it's either body work and paint. How crazy can the paint get? How crazy can the body mods get? And then it goes, and then it just keeps going. How low can I get it? How this, and this, and then eventually you end up with what we have now.
Yeah, and do you think it hits a point where we go, okay, I mean, okay, you're seeing 30s on full-size trucks, right? But we kind of hit a point with mini trucks that it's okay, now we start to see we get to a certain age and it starts to go back a little bit. Like Ernie, rest in peace, when he did High School Mini, we were just oh, dude, that's it. Just static drop it, throw a beeper in there, run some tweed, extended cab deal, boom. And then we're yeah, that's it. And we saw that movement a little bit of kind of these retro builds, 15s, now all the old school stereo. It seems like we kind of hit a limit where we said, you know what, this is all awesome, but let me get back to the roots of mini trucking.
Yeah, and I mean, that also goes back to everyone getting older and having more money now. Where we were in our 18, 19, 20s before, now we're in our 40s and 50s, some people, and they're I'm going to build what I did in high school, but I'm going to actually do it nice. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I'm going to make the interior nice. I'm going to make the paint job nice. Because I don't want to drive, the ratty thing that I did back in high school or whatever.
Right. Okay, here's the next question. I think you thought you knew what it was, but I'm going to switch it up. What is your favorite mini truck of all time? I mean, just one. It doesn't have to be the most chrome, the craziest. I mean, we've established that doesn't always mean cool. But if you had to maybe narrow it down to one, or one that you just loved, I know a couple that Ernie loved, but what's one that you just go, man, this one's it for me?
Man, I wish I would have known that question beforehand.
See, I like to pop those on you, but so maybe even a 1, 2, 3. I mean, it doesn't have to be 3, but maybe if you go, man, here's the top 3 for me. Just even one of those.
I'm trying to think of. My brain does not work like it used to, and I definitely have favorite trucks.
Now, okay, well, here you go. What's your favorite make of a truck, right? So we know Ernie loved, and I keep bringing up Ernie because we just had a tribute episode, rest in peace to the homie, last week. But, we all know that he loved Mitsubis, right? No tomorrow. And I know you have a connection to certain kind of trucks, too. What's your favorite OEM?
Tacomas. I think standard cab trucks, first and foremost, are the quintessential mini truck. And I think Tacomas have the best style. Mm-hmm. And then 84 to 88 Toyotas as well. You know what I mean? I like all mini trucks and stuff, but I think the Tacoma is what does it for me, for sure. I have one, so I'm kind of biased.
Yeah, I saw that on one of the unboxing videos on Grinder TV. One thing I wanted to point out, talking about Gendro, dude, I don't know what it is. When he brought out that Tacoma, brand new, the black, and it was laid out, the one that Brand ended up getting, dude, that thing, like that style, I love that fender, how that body line comes up, dude, perfect.
Yeah, it's I remember that truck. I mean, he brought it to our very first Forbidden Fantasy show, so it's
that's sick.
That truck definitely was, inspired a lot of things for me.
Yeah, and that was still in the era when the graphics were on the bottom of the door, before they went all wild. And I think, like, if that truck were built today, I mean, the Rhino lining, kind of bed liner material, it had that factory look, but it had that awesomeness. But it didn't have the biggest wheels either. It didn't need all that. It was, like, perfect.
Yeah, and I think that it also, that kind of goes back to what we were talking about going crazy and then reeling it back. I actually think that paint job was a reeled back version of the crazy 90s paint jobs. So, it was he didn't have to put it all over the truck, put it on the very bottom of the truck, and you still have the crazy graphics, but it's toned down to, just, it's still there, but it's not all over the place.
Yeah, and if you go out to our Instagram, Our Lifestyle Podcast, you can look back at some of the videos that we've posted, and I posted video of that truck from maybe Cal Truck Jam, and dude, I mean, definitely an epic truck.
Bobby Moore's Tacoma, Oliver's Tacoma.
Yep.
All those just Tacomas just kind of do it for me.
Yeah, I would agree, and Oliver's to me is amazing, because I remember seeing him drive it in Greenville when it was in like primer, and it had the big back window. IF and Carey and team did the chop top on it at a show, I believe. Right? Was it at Forbidden? Was it at Forbidden? No, or they did the C10 at Forbidden.
They did the C10 at Forbidden, yeah.
Yeah, but that was back when IF and salute to Carey and those guys, and when they were doing that kind of stuff. But yeah, Tacoma's, and that kind of helps narrow it down. To me, what's hard is when I was on, I think Future Mini Trucker podcast, they had asked me the same question, and I'm like, as many trucks as I know in my mind, I was like, that peach one that was on the cover, like I couldn't think. So
it's hard. It's like what music you like, but when you walk into the record store, the CD store back in the day, you couldn't figure out what you wanted.
Yes. Yep. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, there's a lot of iconic trucks, and I mean, there's so many that are probably hiding around in people's garages still, and hopefully we'll continue to see them come back out. Talk to us. I don't want to take too much of your time, but I did want to hit on, like, I love what you do with Grinder TV. So Grinder, like you established earlier, the magazine kind of shuttered, back in, I don't know, 2011, 2012 or something like that, 2010. How did Grinder TV morph out of that?
So Grinder Magazine actually stopped around, I think, 09 or 08 was our last issue. That one we brought back, and then it stopped. But basically, I was unemployed in 2009. I quit my job of 10 years working for a hospital, and I didn't know what I was going to do. And I was playing online poker in my backyard. And I was watching YouTube at the same time, and I searched for monster trucks, and some channel came up, and it was a vlog channel. And that introduced me to the whole world of YouTube. And I was like, oh, I can make videos and put them on YouTube instead of making a DVD. And no one's doing this. Not many people at all. I don't think there was anyone that was putting videos on YouTube. Mike was putting clips, a couple short clips on YouTube. He wasn't putting, full length features on. And so I started Grinder TV, and I went and my buddy Cody Gephardt, that used to edit for Low Life and stuff, and who currently edits for a YouTube channel called Uncle Chet. Me and him started it up, and rest is history.
And I think a lot of people probably wonder, like, is it easy to do this? I mean, you established earlier, man, like, I want to go to shows. I want to make this a living. I want to, I want to live my dreams, right? Obviously. But I think the key thing that I take away from it, going to shows and trying to sell merchandise and stuff, like, it is a fun thing. I know that you've had a great time doing it. But I'd like to establish to everyone, like, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it's not an easy gig, right?
No, I drive a 2004 Nissan Titan with 313,000 miles on it, and it's like if you want to afford really nice things, it's really hard to do doing this. It's not easy, but it's definitely, I don't have to punch in a 9-to-5 job, so that's priceless to me.
Oh yeah, just a couple more questions, and then I'll see if there's anything else you want to share, because I'm sure you guys got some big stuff coming up, soon, but then into the new year. Where do you see the mini truck scene maybe in 10 or 15 years, or if you want to spin that even further, like what do you want to see more of? Like either way on that, but like basically like the vision in the future, right? Like where do you see the mini truck? Do you see us at, some of us 40, 45 years old, like we're 60 and we're out, in front of the motels, the hotels, the Holiday Inn till, 5 a.m? Like, where do you see the core mini truckers that are out there today? Where do you see us in like 15 years, man?
That's a tough question, because so we always look at the Vanners, right? And they partied and they did all these things. The Vanners did exactly what the mini truckers did, but they were about 20 years behind us or ahead of us. And now there's a show on Netflix about vanning. And it's a small group of van guys that get together in Indiana or something in the middle of a field, and they're in their 60s and 70s, and they're still partying. You know what I mean? But that's it. That's it. There's no other events really when it comes to vans. I'm sure there is, and I don't know, but there's not many. With mini trucks not being produced anymore, and everyone going to full size trucks and all that stuff, and me being in a mini truck club, seeing the lack of younger people getting mini trucks and getting into mini truck clubs, in reality, I don't see it lasting more than 20 years. In the capacity that it's in now, I think it will always be around. I think mini trucks will always be built. I think there will always be a scene, but I don't know if it's going to be sustainable and for how long. You know what I mean? It sucks to say that, because this is what I've done for my entire life, and dedicated my entire life to it. But again, I'm just trying to be real. You know what I mean? I don't know how long it's going to be around, and I hope I'm wrong. But 10 years, 100% it's going to be around. 20 years, 30 years, you know what I mean? It's going to change. So.
Well, to try to put some, a little bit of a light at that tunnel, Mike's already talking about changing the game now, because he's talking about doing a Tesla motor swap on his Mazda and a full interior. He's already seeing the future. Everything's going electric. I told him he doesn't have a hair on his ass if he doesn't paint like the solar cells into the paint, that you can't see him, and then it's like as he drives from east to west coast. But we know he's not. Yeah, he's going to compromise and comp out.
Yeah. The electric thing is an entire you know what I mean? That's an entire thing that's a different topic. But yeah, what kids do you know that are mini truckers that are 18 that just bought a mini truck?
Well, there's
not many of them.
There's the Future Mini Trucker podcast, but they're trying to keep it going. We want them to, right? But
of course, yeah. Well, we always want to. And I'm not saying that it's not going to. I don't want to be that guy. That's
right.
This is it. It's done. But sometimes it's just, like, if you're really asking that serious question, where is it in 20 years? I could still see shows like Southeastern Mini Truck Nats, 100% happening with a huge draw.
Sure.
Forbidden Fantasy show on the West Coast will probably still happen with a huge draw. But they're going to just be a little bit fewer and farther between. I think.
Yeah, and you got to remember too, to all the listeners out there, you're probably thinking, man, you're scratching your head. Brian comes from the West Coast, and if you read the book I talked about earlier, or you look at old school mini truckers from the West, they remember river runs from 20 years ago, right? 25 years ago. If we were doing this interview in '96, and we were in the mix of action over on La Paz Park, right, or whatever. In Parker, we were like, hey, mini truckers, where are you going to be in 25 years? Like, man, we're going to be drinking beer and doing the thing. And granted, are there some? Absolutely. I mean, we all know, like even BMX spiking, even though it had this resurgence, there's always been collectors, just not on the level that we're seeing. So I think like what Brian's perspective is also too coming from the West, where a lot of those shows have dried up. Is he saying it's going to be gone? No. Just like Mini Truckin magazine. I mean, if you would have said in '99, hey, dude, where do you see this magazine in 15 years? And someone goes, wow, thriving. Well, what happened 15 years later? It was gone. So I certainly hope that it doesn't dry up all the way. But that's why, we've been recently encouraging everyone, do the best you can. Try to stay as healthy as you can. We're losing a lot of people.
And that's the,
and a lot of that. Yep.
Yeah, that's another topic too. Is mini truckers didn't necessarily take care of themselves when they were younger. So
yes,
that's another topic. But
yep.
On just to go into a little bit like a brighter side of this whole thing is mini truck values have already going up. You know what I mean? Trying to find a factory mini truck is hard. So I think the collector part of the mini truck scene, as far as parts go, you know what I mean, and as far as factory trucks and unmolested trucks and all this stuff, I think that is going to go up. I think you're going to see, like, if you have property right now and you can hoard mini trucks, do it, because they're going to be worth a lot of money. I think where you see a $5,000 Toyota in 10 years, that's a $10,000 Toyota. In 20 years, it's a $20,000 Toyota. I don't know if it'll be like C10s are now, but it's definitely, they're going to go up in value.
Yeah, and Jimmy had a conversation with someone a long time ago about it when they're like, the conversation kind of went, well, why do you like these mini trucks? And he's like, well, what did you want when you were in high school? And the guy was older, and he's like, 57 Chevy. And he goes, well, when I was in high school, I wanted an 88 hardbody or whatever, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So I think, like, to your point, like, let's say, someone's 40 years old now, and you go, okay, in 15 years, they're going to be 55. Some of those people are going to go, hey, now's the time. My kids are graduated from college. The house is paid off maybe, blah, blah, blah. Man, I want to get me a 91 Toyota, whatever. And then they go, wow, and think about where inflation's going to be then. And they go, oh, that's only $61,000. And someone goes, all right, here you go. Because think about how new truck prices. I mean, we've talked about this before. I mean, it's insane. That's one of the reasons why I'm sure you're driving the old, the good old Titan.
Yeah, and apart from not being rich, but I mean, when you look at the prices with inflation, a $6,000 pickup from the 80s or $5,000 pickup from the 80s is $20-something thousand now. So that's just crazy. You know what I mean? And you actually get more truck now than you did back then, because back then it was roll-up windows and a heater. And now at least the standard options are air conditioning and power.
Exactly.
But it's still crazy. You know what I mean? Like, it's just hard to, I mean, I was looking for a Nissan hardbody because I want to get one and do put a Titan engine in it, and as a future project. And I couldn't find one in decent shape for under $5,000.
Exactly.
So I just think, especially if anyone has interior pieces, like, that's going to be a big thing, because they're not going to recreate interior pieces like they do for Chevys, for Mazdas or Nissan. So if anybody has trucks and interior pieces, start putting those in cardboard boxes and labeling, because they're going to be sought after. They're already sought after, but they're going to be more sought after soon. Yeah,
that's the way the Lincolns are. The Lincolns were, some of the convertibles had like 3,000, 3,300, 3,500 made in 64. And then you go, oh, well, how many of those, I mean, let's just say 50% of them are on the road. Well, how many are parts cars? And you're like, oh, I need this. And the stuff dries up. And then, eventually you'll start having people like with the Lincolns or swapping motors. So then you're like, oh, now I could get some engine parts, because, people are taking these, quote, boat anchors out, as the way they say it. But, yeah, it'll be interesting. The movie, the Justin Timberlake movie, I think I mentioned it on the Lincoln Addict podcast before, but In Time is a really interesting movie if you haven't ever seen it. And what's so funny is, like, in the future, you almost think about, like, now, like you and I talked before we started recording, we talked about hard drive space, and we're always looking for space, and it's like, the price of space has went down a lot, right, for hard drives over 20 years. But like in the movie In Time, it's kind of like in the future, you only have so many minutes, and it's like when your minutes are up is when you're gone. So then it's like, it's like you gotta make money to buy minutes to live. And sometimes I wonder, in that movie, they have old Lincolns, it's all 60s Lincolns. And it's like, will there be, we're starting to see it now with a lot of the motor swaps into the newer stuff. But I always wonder, in the future, like, is the battery powered stuff going to be so cheap? It'll be like the VCR. It first comes out, expensive, time goes by, it's cheaper. Will people be able to drive 1,000 miles and it doesn't really cost anything? I always think the big man, the oil companies and these different companies, they're always going to be able to control something, the energy price or how long does it take to charge it. All of that is how they make their money, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think
the future is going to be crazy.
There's a lot of theories out there about certain things about electricity and all this stuff, but what people don't realize is that 95% of the population of just this country, they use vehicles for transportation. They need to get from point A to point B, whether that's work or the grocery store. We don't use vehicles for transportation only. We customize them. So we are far outnumbered by the regular Joe. And if the regular Joe can have an electric car for $20,000 to get back to work and back, these companies are going to see that, and that's what they're going to sell them. They don't care about us, and so it's going to be interesting next 20 years. That's for sure.
Oh yeah. Well, dude, we spent a lot of time talking about some cool stuff. I know, you guys have had Forbidden Fantasy going a long time. Talk to us a little bit about where your mindset is as we start to wrap up here. Maybe where that show, where you see it going. I know you guys have the auto mixer. What else is on the horizon for you and all the wonderful people in Forbidden Fantasy and some of your maybe business partners?
So the Forbidden Show, obviously we couldn't have it in 2020 because of COVID, and then 2021 because of COVID. So we're planning on bringing that back in 2022. And that show will always be, as long as we can have it in Laughlin, and it's a small and easy, it's like a manageable show because it's fun for the club and fun for me to put on. And we just wanted to create an atmosphere where our friends got together. More than an actual show. So it's still a show, but it's more of a get together because, like we talked about time, we don't get together every night like we used to, every weekend like we used to, every month like we used to. Shows are now where we get together. So we just wanted to create something where that happens, where our club Forbidden gets together once a year. And that's the future of Forbidden Fantasy. That show, it'll always be around as long as we can do it without jumping through hoops with cities or counties like we did back when we had it in Southern California, when we were trying to have a huge show. We don't want a huge show anymore. We just want a fun get together type thing. And then the auto mixer was born out of, it's like kind of an experiment. Because where the Forbidden Show is, it's at the Abbey, which is about 15 miles away from the main area of Laughlin. And if you've never been to Laughlin, it's like a mini Las Vegas right on the Colorado River. And we kind of wanted to have a show there to get people down to that area because we possibly wanted to create a much larger event down there in the future. We're not sure yet, though. But if anyone has ever heard of Laughlin Bike Week, we wanted to create Laughlin Truck Week, where there were multiple car shows happening in the same town at the same time. And so there's a classic truck show, a mini truck show, a lifted truck show, all happening at the same time.
Got it.
So don't know if that's going to happen or not, but we kind of have a vision, and we're going to try to see what we can do.
Yeah, and to everybody in Forbidden Fantasy that has put in the work over the years, and some I'm sure your friends and family, we certainly appreciate that. I mean, we really do, because you guys have created just like this awesome event. I know for a long time you had like little Easter eggs or some little nod to the current state of the world in your artwork. That was always a kind of a cool thing I've heard about. And then, you tried to branch off and do these other things. And I remember, I think it was Ruben was headed to Forbidden Fantasy a couple years ago, and there was like a big billboard, I think. Was it the show where you guys, was it maybe the Avi? But like it was on a billboard, dude. I mean, how many mini truck shows are on an effing billboard? Yeah,
this was pretty cool that the Avi has their own billboard not too far from there, and they were like, hey, we're going to put a billboard up. We're like, all right, go ahead. So that was pretty cool. And then actually someone stole that billboard.
No
after
way.
the show.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, those hooligans.
it wasn't like a huge billboard. But it was still one, and I guess they wrapped it in like it was a printed banner material, and someone has that banner.
I heard it's in Arizona, but I mean.
Yeah, somewhere.
Yeah, we got to get Robert Stack to come back for Unsolved Mysteries, like a mini Truckin' edition. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Robert Stack. Remember, dude, that was the creepiest show as a kid. Like when I just heard that, dude, like, dude, I was just like immediately like, I wasn't scared of the dark as a kid, but I was like, damn, dude, I'm like, someone's coming through this window right here. I think Mike has that as his ringtone. He's a sick mother effer, man. I said, Mike, you can't have that as your ringtone, bro. But dude, I know. I'm looking at my notes. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. I know, like, you know, you've done stuff with the Bag Trailer guys. Your buddy, you know, Level Ride Height. You've given him some feedback. You know, coming from Australia. You know a lot of people in the scene. Man, I feel like I'm leaving something on the table. Maybe you could come back in the future. But is there anything else that you maybe wanted to share that we just didn't get a chance to get to, man?
I don't know, man. That's about it. I just make videos for a lot of different companies, a lot of different shops out here in Phoenix, and just try to stay moving forward. Try to just navigate through this world. You know.
Yeah, that's what my dad always said. Moving ahead. I'm moving ahead. Trying to just keep pushing forward. And I would encourage everyone. I mean, many of you, if you're not subscribed to Grinder TV via YouTube, I mean, you should be checking out, you know, the podcast you're listening to, because if you're a mini trucker, you need to subscribe to Grinder TV. It's simple. You guys all know YouTube, but just type in Grinder TV, whether you put the dash in it or not. It's going to come right up. About 73,000 subscribers, 191 videos. I know it takes a lot of work to do what you do. Like the recent video that just dropped today was Northwest Cruise of the Pines. You recently had Slamboree 2021 with the BTS, behind the scenes with Mike Finnegan. A lot of good content out there. We thank you last week for coming on. We paid tribute to Ernie Macias, rest in peace. I love that, you know, for anybody that wants to see some of his old stuff, you know, he's got the Ernie Macias Body Drop Silverado. But I also stumbled across Jonathan Hawkins had posted the link, and it made me go back and watch. Back in 2012, I think it was, when Ernie's truck was getting shot for the cover of Mini Truckin', the stock truck, and that's all out there as well.
Yeah, and there's some gems out there. I believe it's still up on the Street Trucks, maybe the old Street Trucks YouTube channel. I interviewed Ernie with his full size when it was black when I went to SEMA. I think that's still out there. I have a lot of footage of Ernie Macias that will be seen eventually.
Yeah. Well, we're excited for that, and even Pops, rest in peace. We recently mentioned that Oliver, you know, one of the big homies, that he lost his dad, and you even have the Pops' truck, you know, out there, and I know he was a beloved guy in the scene. I mean, he was running hard back in those days and going to all the shows with Oliver, and he's a beloved dude, and he's gone. He tried
to beat me up one time.
I hope it was friendly. I hope it was friendly fire.
No, man, he was mad at me. We got over it, but there's a lot of funny stories out there. But that was a fun time. I was poking at his son a little too much about some stuff, and he let me know it. But we got along great. He was a really good dude. Well,
I'll plant this seed, as my dad used to say. When you write a book one day, just like that other book I mentioned, I'll be the first to buy it, brother. I just want an autographed copy. I want to hear some of the stories, but we got to make sure the statute of limitations is run out. You know what I'm saying? Because I know, you know, we don't want someone like, you know, like Mike Murray. Like, I mean, there's, you know, he could go to prison if I were to share some of the stuff I've seen. You know what I mean? So you know, you kind of don't, you know, what do they say? Snitches get stitches. You know what I mean? So you got to keep it. And then, you know, there's people like Mike. He dry snitches on himself all the time. I'm like, dude, you can't be saying that shit, bro. So, but no, seriously, Brian, Grinder TV. You can go to grinder-tv.com. There's a lot of stuff out there. Some of the older Blu-rays, DVDs, T-shirts, hats. We didn't even talk about the merchandise. Love the banner. With the nod to the Goonies, dude. So, you know, the stuff that you launch, man. I mean, I absolutely love it. You got a lot of old feature stuff out there, and some of the the old artwork that, C10s and stuff that were on your shirts, banners. They look fantastic.
Yeah. And speaking of merchandise, if I can just kind of give a little bit of a plug to something we're doing next year.
Oh, yeah.
So starting January 1st, anything that you buy off of the Grinder TV website or the Custom Life website, you will be entered to win something every month. So the first month we linked up with Vayer. So anyone that buys something off those two websites get entered into a pool, and at the last day of the month, we pull a name and we send you a dual pack of Vayers. And then February, it's going to be Slam Specialties, so on and so forth. And we're working up to some pretty big things. And I don't want to say, but they could involve wheels, tires, and even bigger stuff. But that's the things that we're working on. So just pay attention to our Instagram, both Custom Life and myself, and the YouTube stuff for a lot more information on that coming soon.
Yeah, and to plug the big homie Frank, as you mentioned, custom with a K. I mentioned it before. You can go to grinder-tv.com, or you can go to custom or search Custom Life on YouTube as well. There is a link, I think, in all of his bios to his merchandise as well. Love what Frank does. He's a great dude. And there's just a lot of good people out there, so many out there. The least you can do is go out and subscribe to their YouTube channels. If you want to take it a step further, just order some merch, put OLP in the notes. You never know. You might get a free sticker,
You might get something. I got a bunch of stickers I get from people and I put them in the merch. But yeah, sharing the videos, commenting on the videos. You always hear it, right? Subscribe, comment. Honestly, that helps us a ton, like more than you even know.
Real deal. BG, be good. I see that hashtag all the time. Brian Goude, thank you so much, brother. Stay on the rise. FFF, much love to all the crew. Effin' Forbidden Fantasy. We didn't drop that Easter egg, but there's one for you. much love, Brian.
Appreciate it, man.
We got you. Yo, it's a wrap. Dude, thank you so much to Riggity Ron. He rolled into town, gallivanted right through the window, right into the compound. Thank you to Brian for sitting down with us. And as I, basically wrap this up, just want to say rest in peace. It looks like we've lost another mini trucker. From what I've seen, Ride and Low Magazine on Instagram, Ride and Low Magazine _FFF_66. R.I.P. Jeff. And looks like Jeff from Forbidden Fantasy. I texted Brian earlier today and said, hey, rest in peace to one of your fallen. And if I click on who they've tagged, it looks like it was Jeff Beckley. Did not know the homie. But, much love and respect to the entire Forbidden Fantasy club, tight-knit group of kinfolk right there. And, again, Brian is the leader, as you heard. So want to say rest in peace. Cannot thank enough Custom Car Show Productions. Again, next event is the weekend before Thanksgiving, Biggity Bayou Showdown. It's really called Bayou Showdown, but you guys know how I do. Please, if you can, come out to Slidell. I know there's a big following of a lot of mini truckers in that area of the nation, so come on out. The show is continuing to grow. We'll talk to Sean here probably later this month as we get to about a month out. Would love to talk with the big homie. And then also, of course, Mini Truck Showdown. What happens in Vegas doesn't always stay in Vegas because we will be sharing photos, but if you want to do a dry run, maybe you've never been to SEMA, maybe you've never been to Vegas, please plan a either long weekend or a week trip out of this. Cannot stress enough, Vegas is a wonderful place. When I went, I rented a car solo one year, and I drove to the Hoover Dam, something I always wanted to do. Did the tour over there. It would be a great family deal. But it's June 3rd through the 5th, so basically the very first weekend in the month of June, Mini Truck Showdown. We recently had Corey on, and we talked about it. We'll be talking a lot more about this one. I've requested the time off. I'm going to make it a long weekend, probably take Friday off, maybe do an overnight flight Thursday, kind of get in, and then have all day Friday, Saturday, and then come home Sunday. So it's going to be fantastic. Mini Truck Showdown on Instagram. And then, of course, Corey talked about the other events as well. And then, of course, Corey also hit on Kern County Showdown. That's another event that they actually have under their umbrella. The cool thing about this one is it's the first weekend in February. February 4th through the 6th of 2022. So, again, the Kern County Showdown, that is in Bakersfield, California, in February. Their flagship event, Mini Truck Showdown, that is in Vegas. Both of these shows are on Instagram, of course, on Facebook as well. Try to make it out to both if you can. So with that being said, cannot stress enough, man, we're getting older every day, every week. Do what you love. Get out there. If it's mini trucks, if it's lowriders, if it's cars. Thank you so much for everyone that continues to listen. If you want to check out another podcast, Lincoln Addict, that's the other one I produce, and we have more on the way. So appreciate all the support. And the mini truck, it's in our mini truck and it's in our DNA. Those garments did print today that I'm recording this. This will post on Friday, and we will get the shirts and all the merch out early next week. Mike's out of town. Congratulations to Greg Miller's daughter for her wedding this weekend, and she recently received a promotion. When Mike and Shannon get back from that, they'll be able to get everything bagged and tagged and then shipped out. Of course, Mike's works at the post office, so he goes there every day. So I would expect maybe Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at the latest, all of that stuff will go out. Visit ourlifestylepodcast.com if you want to order. All the remaining stuff is out there. Once it's gone, it's gone. ODB, on behalf of Mike and I and Hank and all the partners, be safe this weekend. We got you.
Peace.